In one of the weirdest stories I think I've ever heard, but kind of not unexpected, a group of 13 men have, I shouldn't say a group of 13 men. There are 7 guys and 6 guys. Each have been arrested. 7 guys on state charges. They were targeting cops. They wanted to like storm the state capitol building in Michigan. Then you had 6 guys who apparently wanted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer because they view her as a tyrannical bee. We don't swear on this show, so sorry, figure that one out. Female dog, we'll call it that. And they felt that her COVID lockdown orders were unconstitutional, and thus they were going to take action. Unfortunately for them, they reached out to some militias, turns out were infiltrated by the FBI, and the informants immediately ratted on them, and they've been arrested. The interesting thing is that partisan media is calling these guys right-wing. We have video of some of these guys, or at least one of these guys. They're not right-wing at all. They're anarchists. So I don't even know what right-wing means at this point. Everyone's like left-wing violence and right-wing violence. Look, if they're going to claim that anti-government, anti-police people and anarchists are right-wing, are they saying that Antifa is right-wing? Like, what's the difference at that point? I don't know. Whatever. We're going to talk about this. We're also going to talk about what happened with the debate because we have lots of opinions because we have some people hanging out, of course. Ian Crossland is chilling.
Hello, everyone.
That's Ian. Sour Patch Lids is producing and doing all that
here
stuff.
In the corner, yep.
And Cassandra Fairbanks is hanging out.
Yay.
She's always here now. And we just have all of these different opinions. So make sure you smash that like button. Welcome to the show. We do the show Monday through Friday live at 8 p.m. and it is available on all podcast platforms. So if you're a fan, if you're on Spotify, if you're on iTunes, go there, subscribe or whatever it is you do. Because I don't know, I don't really pay attention to those platforms. We're just on YouTube doing our thing. So I really do want to talk about the debates because I think that's the place where we have most of our opinions. But what do you guys think? Should we talk about these kidnappers first? You think we should just talk about the kidnappers?
Either one.
Kidnappers. What do you think?
Sounds terrifying, like they were domestic terrorists.
All right, kidnappers it is. All right.
Good.
Here's a story from the New York Times. FBI says Michigan anti-government group plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Authorities charged 13 men, some of whom were accused of plotting to storm the state capitol building and planning to start a civil war. Sounds like the Boogaloo Boys, but I don't think it was directly affiliated with anybody doing Boogaloo stuff. Storming the state capitol, instigating a civil war, abducting a sitting governor ahead of the presidential election. Those were among the plots described by federal and state officials in Michigan on Thursday as they announced terrorism, conspiracy, and weapons charges against 13 men. At least 6 of them, officials said, had hatched a detailed plan to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat who has become a focal point of anti-government views and anger over coronavirus control measures. The group that planned the kidnapping met repeatedly over the summer for firearms training and combat drills and practiced building explosives, the FBI said. Members also gathered several times to discuss the mission, including in the basement of a shop that was accessible only through a trap door under a rug. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Like a movie.
The trap door, not the weird, creepy terroristic meetings. I'd like a trap door like that. That'd be cool. The men spied on Miss Whitmer's vacation home in August. Wow. And in September, even looking under a highway bridge for places they could place and detonate a bomb to distract authorities, the FBI said. They indicated that they wanted to take Miss Whitmer hostage before the election in November, and one man said they should take her to a secure location in Wisconsin for a trial. Richard J. Trask II, an FBI special agent, said in a criminal complaint. If their goal was to, make Donald Trump lose, this is, the best plan ever.
Yeah.
Mr. Trask said that one of those arrested had bought a taser for the mission last week, and that the men had been planning to buy explosives on Wednesday. Court records indicated that at least 5 of the men had been arrested on Wednesday in Ypsilanti, is that how you pronounce it, Michigan?
Yeah.
It was not immediately clear if the 6th man had been taken into custody. So the New York Times doesn't immediately say anything about right wing. I don't know if they go on to. I don't think they do. They just say anti-government. But immediately you're seeing all of these lefty personalities saying right wing militias. Blah. The dude's not right wing. Look at this. Here's the guy. I mean, he's got huge gauges in his ears, which is not really indicative of anything. But I will say it's not necessarily a right-wing thing. Right wingers tend to be stodgy suit wearing,
Or rednecks.
Yeah, I guess you could see right-wing gauges and stuff. I'm not trying to discriminate against people with gauged ears or anything like that. But he's got a big anarchy flag behind him, or a big anarchy. Yeah, it's a flag. Mm-hmm. And so Robbie Starbuck tweeted, "This is a video of Brandon Caserta, one of the ringleaders of the group of men arrested for a plot where the group planned to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Caserta has an anarchist flag behind him. In a YouTube video, trashes police. He's not a Republican. He's an anarchist. What's the difference between him and Antifa if he's anti-cop?"
I think that a lot of the media is being very simplistic about politics in general. I think that politics are a spectrum. It's not just Republicans and Democrats. I think this guy's probably an anarcho-capitalist, which is like a right-leaning.
But what does that mean, right?
Well, I don't know.
That's the problem.
They're still pro-capitalism.
This dude's Antifa as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I get it. He's not literally Antifa. Like, he's not flying the anti-fascist action flag or anything like that. But what I mean to say is, if you take a dude who's wearing all black and says F the police and F the government, and then you put him next to an Antifa guy, they're both going to yell the same thing at the same time.
Right.
So I get it, but it's like, I understand he could be anarcho-capitalist, you know, because we saw with a lot of these protests where Black Lives Matter came out, the Boogaloo boys were like, we agree with you, we're on your side. Like, the government is bad and it's broken. And they're like, all right, we agree. What's the difference? One of them has an American flag mask and the other doesn't.
Well, it's like how Cop Block used to be. Remember, they were run by like all those libertarians up in New Hampshire who were like anti-cop, but also pro-capitalism, and I don't know.
Yeah, and caps.
Yeah.
I guess they're just anarchists. They're certainly not Trump supporters.
Right.
And this is the problem with how the media operates. There's a really clear distinction for what like left wing is, right? If you say like what's far left, you have a general idea. It's Antifa, it's Black Lives Matter. They all agree with each other on most of their ideology. They agree with each other for the most part on economics. So when you say left wing, you're referring to like one large group of people. When they say right wing, I have no idea what that means. Is that like, are Trump supporters right wing? The alt-right are right wing? They disagree with the Trump supporters on like almost everything.
I think that there's, you know, authoritarian and then more libertarian aspects of the right. I think that the right has a lot more difference of opinion and different ideas than the left does, because they don't really accept other ideas. Whereas the right will be like, okay, well, we disagree with you on this, but we agree on this other thing. And I don't know.
I don't think this is the kind of guy, this dude here with the anarchist flag behind him, who's going to be hanging out with Trump supporters.
Right. And they, like, Governor Whitmer immediately blamed Trump. She was like, this is Trump's fault or whatever. And I was like, these people are clearly not Trump supporters. Like, they might have, like, right-wing views on economics, but they're probably very left on things like the border and police. And they're certainly not Trump supporters.
I'm so done with left and right, whatever. It just doesn't mean anything.
Thank you. I feel like that so intensely.
Yeah, no, like this idea that, you know, right wing means laissez-faire capitalist and left wing means socialist. And it's like, okay, so the alt-right isn't laissez-faire capitalist. They're actually kind of left on policy. You know, like, didn't Richard Spencer talk about universal health care and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and there's and then there's Cernovich too, because Cernovich has also talked about universal health care. So the right is meaningless.
Right.
And like if we're both left leaning and then you go further left, I'm all of a sudden considered right because it's a relative function. So it's madness.
That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
So
left and right are like relative to each other.
Well, definitely. If you're talking about like, this is the weird thing. If you're talking about left and right in the traditional sense, because it came from the French Revolution, you have the right, which are pro-status quo, traditional, like...
I'm sorry to interrupt. You're right. They sat in different areas of
the... So you had the right and the left. And the left were the revolutionaries, and the right were the keep it all the same, right? I think. They were like, keep it tradition, and, you know...
And to clarify, they sat in, like, what was it, their parliament or whatever?
Something like that, I guess.
The people would sit on the right side of the aisle and the left side of the aisle.
So the general idea is when someone says right wing... Are they referring to like pro-status quo versus pro-revolution? In which case, this guy's pro-revolution. So he's certainly not right.
Yeah, he seems like a far-left terrorist.
Yeah. The only reason they call him right-wing is because, well, they can't have it on their side, can they?
It's just like, it doesn't even seem far left. I say that and it just all of a sudden I'm like, well, but he seems like a far-right terrorist. Is it just a big circle and you just keep going to the left and then you appear on the right? And it's like, where?
It's because it's because right-wing doesn't mean anything.
It really doesn't.
None of this means anything anymore.
Well, they have in common that they both, neither Antifa nor these groups, this group in particular, I think, neither one of them want much of the government to be involved. Like, these guys, I think, went to the Open It Up rally or whatever. Yeah. Like, they were very, very just broadly anti-government. I think that's something that you could look at more than even right or left to determine where somebody's going to fall along that side. I don't know what that would be considered, like the amount of control the government has over you.
Oh, dude. You know what, man? I understand this anger over tyranny and abuse of power Gretchen Whitmer, the Supreme Court ruled against her, and they said that, your lockdown's unconstitutional. And she said, so what? I'm going to do it anyway. And she said that she's going to wait out 21 days, which is the allotted time. And then she's going to find other means to enforce her unconstitutional edict. Now, you're going to love this one. She said, just last week, the President of the United States stood before the American people and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups like these 2 Michigan militia groups. Ms. Whitmer said, there's no indication in the court documents that any of the men...
I don't know where it picked up.
Is it? It's not really going to show all of us just sitting here talking about this. It's so dumb. Hey, we're live again.
Oh my gosh.
I'm too exhausted for this. What's
Hey.
up?
Hi, Tim.
Yeah, Ian, what did you have for breakfast?
I think I had a glass of water.
That's crazy.
It was good.
Best
Yeah.
breakfast
What did you have for
ever.
breakfast, Cassandra?
I had a lot of coffee.
Wow.
I like your breakfast.
How many coffees?
Several.
Oh, yeah. What'd you put in it?
I actually had a pumpkin spice one because I'm extremely basic and love fall.
We got pumpkin spice moonshine.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
we
think
should drink
If you want
I don't think anyone's going to drink it because I don't drink, so I don't know
Yeah.
if I was going to drink it. And then we got
Cleaner.
butter pecan moonshine.
That sounds
That's
really
pretty
good.
cool too.
I
Yeah.
wonder how long that stays good.
It's probably bad already.
Sit
I
in
mean,
the
it's sitting in
fridge.
alcohol though. It's
No,
like
I don't think it goes bad that quickly.
it has to be refrigerated because it's got cream in it.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. Does that curdle? Will it turn into like moonshine yogurt?
Ooh. It's got a certain something.
So anyway, I guess apparently like some guys tried kidnapping some lady and she's crazy.
Spike
and-
Lee, let's talk about Civil War for a minute. The darkest or the
Oh,
grossest
man.
topic.
This is like the only thing that leftists have at any capacity to actually criticize me. Is that out of 5,832 videos? Now it's more than that because that number was from like last week. I have maybe 25 videos about Civil War. And they're like, aha, we got him. He's talking about the Atlantic article they wrote about Civil War coming. It's like, yes. There are a couple of videos where I directly, asked the question, like when the AG in Oregon sued the federal government because the federal government was trying to enforce the law. It's like when you have the states challenging the federal government's right to enforce its own laws, or like that's kind of weird and scary. And that's like the way I describe it is if things really escalate into full on hot conflict between factions, or Joe Biden and Trump are like boxing each other on the White House lawn to like become president or something, then they'll claim that these things were part of, what started the Civil War or was the Civil War. But now you have Spike Lee straight up said it. He was being interviewed by some magazine or whatever, and they asked him like, "What's going on?" And he made some comment about being like Nostradamus or something, and he said, "Civil War is coming. Like y'all better prepare because this MFer is not leaving the White House," something like that. And so yeah, just more talk from Spike Lee, and then you add this to this story we have about these guys in Michigan, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm not surprised.
Like, is this the first of many attempts on like
Politicians?
Yeah.
Dude, you violate the Constitution brazenly while laughing at people when you do it. Don't be surprised when this kind of thing happens. Now,
No,
I'm
I'm
grateful
not.
to the FBI that they got stopped.
Do you remember what happened with her like a few months back? There was a anti-lockdown protest, and the next day she came out and she was like, well, now basically I'm going to create an even harsher lockdown out of
Yep.
spite. Remember?
I remember that.
I was like, whoa, this
Dude,
woman's
this
going to
lady,
get...
she's evil.
Yeah.
Like legit evil. So I say she's evil in the truest sense of the word, right? When a bunch of people in Michigan were freaking out because her emergency powers are too extreme, they started signing petitions saying we want a referendum on taking her power away. And she said, "Do not let them take my power from me." And then when the Supreme Court of Michigan ruled you can't do this, she said, "I'm gonna do it anyway."
Yeah.
Talk
She's
about evil.
completely mad with power.
Here's-
She's like
here's the
drunk
problem.
off of it.
Why isn't the federal government removing her? That's what they're supposed to do, right? Like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But if you have like a governor and their legislation says you can't do this and she laughs and does it anyway, shouldn't the feds then intervene and be like, this woman must be removed? Because she's not letting anyone do anything. And I'll tell you what else. What are the cops doing? Now, the AG has said she will no longer enforce any of Gretchen Whitmer's, edict. So she's essentially just sitting in a room crying and screaming, demanding a lockdown that no one's going to enforce. So she lost.
Right.
But shouldn't she just immediately, like, don't we have some kind of thing where it's like, if you're ordered not to do something, you do it anyway, like, we get rid of you? Like,
Yep.
you're no longer the governor or, like, in charge?
Recall.
Yeah, but that's like, that requires an actual vote. She's not
Yeah.
letting people leave their houses.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating a bit, but, you lock everything down, people can't actually organize. So, Anyway, man, here's my point. If I said to you, a year ago, actually, I'll tell you this. If I said to you a year ago that I think we're dangerously close to a civil war, and that within a year we're going to see like race riots, people screaming and fighting and smashing stuff, and you're going to have like armed groups going after state leaders and politicians, and these like rioters are going to be smashing up people's homes, y'all would call me crazy.
I'm pretty sure you did call it about a year ago.
Oh, I did.
In our group chat. I'm pretty sure it was around Halloween last year.
And I can't remember, I don't want to name drop anybody, but I remember like, we had a group, there's like a group chat with like, a couple dozen people or something? Journalists and personalities. And I'm like, it's coming. Here's what's going to happen. And there was like a couple of guys who were like, that's so dumb. That'll never happen. You don't understand the security state. And I'm like, listen, these guys who plotted this, what happens when you actually have someone like Gretchen Whitmer or, Wolf in Pennsylvania, who also got ruled unconstitutional. And they're like, we don't care. We are the Democratic Party. Yeah. Or like, what happens when you get that? Then what happens if Bill Barr actually says we are intervening to remove a despotic governor who's in violation of the law? What happens if they do this now? What happens? I mean, it's likely unlikely because she's the victim in this story. But what happens if they intervene and we're this close to the election? And then the left says it's a coup. It's Donald Trump staging a coup. Like, then you're going to get government faction versus government faction. This right here should be one of the biggest red flags. There's a red banner flying above everyone's house right now that civil war, these people think people can only think in real time for the most part. They don't think to the future. They don't prepare or plan. So when you see people marching around in a residential neighborhood screaming, rabble, 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 most people don't even think like, I wonder what they'll do next. That's literally what I do. I'm like, man, wow, if they're marching through the neighborhood, it's only a matter of time before they start like attacking and threatening people. Then what happened?
They did that last night.
Well, this is what I'm getting to. The first thing they did, we see in Portland, is they went to some guy's house who had an American flag and screamed and said, take it down or we'll burn your house down. The New York Times covered that. The next thing they did was they went around snatching the flags off the porches and burning them. Now in, where's this, Wauwatosa? Mm-hmm. They went to apartment buildings and homes and started smashing up their windows. What happens if you try to defend yourself? Ask the McCloskeys. Yeah. Ask that dude in Wisconsin. You will be arrested. You must let the mob burn your house down.
This story, like last night, was so sad too. It was an apartment building that had 4 apartments, and 3 of the apartments, like the people just left. They fled. They knew that there was bad stuff going on, so they went to stay somewhere else. But one of the apartments had a 70-year-old woman in it. She didn't have anywhere to go. And so she was hiding in her bedroom while they were smashing her windows. And she called her landlord, and he went over there, and he found her, and she was like shaking and crying. Oh. And he brought her somewhere safe to her sister's house, I believe. But she was a fascist,
right?
It was so sad. A 70-year-old woman.
But she's a fascist.
No. They don't even know what her politics are.
You must be mistaken, Cassandra. Yeah. Antifa only attacks fascists. Yeah. I read it in the Washington Post.
They've warned they're going to the suburbs, and they're doing it.
And then, that's when conservatives said, mail-in voting is going to backfire on you. Don't do it. The Democrats were like, Donald Trump said without evidence that mail-in voting will be bad. Guess what happens now? Democratic groups are warning all of their voters not to vote by mail. I kid you not. Axios published a story. If they only actually engaged in good faith, they wouldn't constantly be wrong all the time. So they said, it was conservatives. Antifa is coming to the suburbs. They're talking about it. The New York Times, all these outlets, they're like, Antifa is not coming to the suburbs. And now they're smashing up 70-year-old women's windows, threatening them and their families. And I know people in Chicago who are like, they came to the suburbs. It happened.
Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this hypothesis. The problem with anti-fascism is that we live in a military-industrial complex system that is inherently fascist. Our clothing is made in sweatshops for the most part, with like corporate government collusion.
It's more
like this corporate government.
It's authoritarian corporatism,
militaristic. It's like stuff is done by force, so it feels like we're supporting a fascist, not a dictatorship.
It's not.
But a militaristic.
I hate the phrase.
The United States is a military.
Fascist
country.
Is a very specific thing. Like it's a very specific brand of authoritarianism that comes from World War II. Everyone says fascist. What they really mean is authoritarian.
Okay.
So
okay.
so what happens is then you get people arguing about state control versus like, ethno-nationalism and what is really fascist. Like, I don't care, dude. I'm talking about authoritarian dictatorship. That's what I'm
So
talking
are
about.
these Antifa actually just anti-authoritarian?
No, they're pro-authoritarian. Pro. They're communist extremists. They want the power. This is what I really, really can't stand. You ever see the political compass memes, you guys?
Yeah.
Where it's like, they always put Antifa in the bottom left libertarian. No. Anarchists have the non-aggression principle. That's what it's right?
Yeah.
Non-aggression principle? Yeah. Well, it's mostly a right-wing anarchist thing, which I don't even know what that means, right-wing.
ANCAP and libertarian.
Yeah, not anarcho-communist. But the general idea should be a part of anyone who doesn't believe authority is proper. So a real anarchist, and you'll hear this from actual leftists who actually know what they're talking about. Because like I think left anarchists, the real ones, you totally love to hang out with them. You know why? They're sitting around smoking weed and like eating watermelon.
Yeah,
Like-
but they let chaos happen. It's
No, they
not
don't.
really-
That's not
like
what
if people
anarchists
get
is.
into a fist fight in their house.
That's
they're
not
just
true.
like, well,
That's not true.
I used to live with them.
That's not anarchists. Then you didn't live. You lived with nihilists.
No, they just didn't have any rules.
That's not anarchy. Anarchy means without authority. True anarchists, it means you sit in a circle and you all talk until you agree. It's damn near impossible to do at scale. But if you've got a group of 5 people, you can have an anarchic system where you're like, no one person is the authority.
Well, you could also have a group of anarchists where you all fight each other until one person survives.
That's not like real anarchy. That's just so the actual idea of anarchy, it means an without archy authority. That's what it means. And so so this is really funny. I was just watching the movie Stranger Than Fiction. Have you guys ever seen that? It's actually
No.
really fun. It's Will Ferrell and like he's walking on the street and then all of a sudden he hears a narrator narrating his life. And then like one day she's like, little did Harold know he was going to die. And then he's like, wait, what? Who said that? But anyway, he's a tax auditor and he's talking to this leftist and he asks her, are you part of an anarchist group? And she goes, anarchists have groups? And it was, what's her name? Maggie Gyllenhaal. And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, that would defeat the purpose. Like, no, it wouldn't. Anarchist means without authority. You can have a group of people where no one person has authority. And they all sit in big circles and they sing Kumbaya and ask each other what each other wants to do until everyone comes into agreement. It doesn't work at scale. Like you can't even do it with 10 people. You can do it with like 3 or 4. So it's really like a pipe dream. To say that the left libertarian spectrum, like Antifa, are anti-authoritarian is like an outright lie. The people that are going around smashing things and demanding their will be done is the definition of authoritarian. Absolute. They think they have authority over you to force you to do what they want, and they will use physical force against you to get what they want. That's authoritarianism. Just because they're not in the most powerful group. So imagine it this way. If a group of 100 people showed up and said, raise our flag or we will murder your family, is that authoritarian?
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they're part of the state or a gang. Because the only difference between that concept they try and lie about is like they don't have the full power of government yet. So imagine what Antifa would do if they actually gained control of a government.
How would you explain like an anarchic? Is it anarchic?
Anarchic.
An anarchic group that want if like an anarchic group something. If Antifa were anarchic, how would they be behaving differently?
They wouldn't be violent.
Well, you could have violent anarchy.
No. It's oxymoronic. The idea that you have the sole authority to cause harm to another person is not without authority. It is with authority.
Yeah, but I mean, doing something doesn't mean that you're authoritarian.
So I guess theoretically you could have no authority and no goals and no purpose.
So you just wanted to burn it all. So they have a goal and a purpose. If they just wanted to destroy it.
That would be more nihilism, I think.
And I think that's still an exertion of your authority over someone else.
I think you're being too liberal with the definition of authority.
If you think you can unilaterally decide to alter someone else's existence, like
I don't see
make
them
decisions for them.
I don't see Antifa trying to implement anything. I just see them trying to break the system.
Well,
Antifa are revolutionary communists. That the Antifa literally comes from World War II Germany. It was the militant wing of the Communist Party. And anti-fascism doesn't mean anti-authoritarian. They're pro-authoritarian. They were pro-communist party. The people flying their flag want authoritarianism. They want to tell people what to do because they think the stupid people and their farting cows are destroying the planet.
So anti-fascists were an actual party of the communists, a part of the communists, authoritarian
Yes.
communists. But this anti-fascist group is not that. It's a different.
It's the same flag.
They're
It's the
using
same
the same
symbols,
name
and
and
it's
the
the same
flag,
ideology.
But like you say, you can call yourself the nice guys and go around and beat people and be like, "Why would you beat down on the nice guys?"
They're flying the symbols in the flag.
right, but they're different function.
That's like saying neo-Nazis aren't really Nazis.
That's why they're called new Nazis. They're not.
Sure,
they're not
then we'll call them
German Nazis.
neo-Antifa.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the same authoritarian group that the communists had. I
It's
just don't see
basically the
authority.
same thing.
I don't agree with that. I think they have the same name and the same flag, but they're not authoritarian.
They're not anarchists. That's just it. They're not anarchists, man.
How would you describe them, Cassandra?
I think that they're authoritarian. I don't know if I would. I mean, I don't know. You guys both have some valid points. I think that they're terrifying, and that's basically it. I think that they believe that they're morally right, and their conscience is telling them that they're doing the right thing by being ultra authoritarian and imposing their will on people. And I think that that's the most dangerous kind of person. It's the same thing that you see with like ISIS. They think that they're committing acts of terror and authoritarianism for the greater good. It's the same thing. And I just think that they're
If you take Antifa and you give them positions of power in the government, they will all agree on what they want to do next. They bring out guillotines in front of people's homes. They are acting in concert. They know what their ideology is. They know what they want, and they will use violence to get it. CNN ran this really funny piece, Antifa seeking peace through violence. Yeah, and they changed the title after they got called out for it. They are violent authoritarians. I guess you could... It's a weird argument to make that you have violent anti-authoritarians because I guess the Joker, you could argue, because he had no real goal in destroying your life. But I personally feel like if I say to you, I'm going to cause you harm, I am making a decision about what I want you to experience and do, and that is me asserting my will over yours.
But it would be, why were you doing it? If you were doing it so that you could get the money and make me your slave, then you'd be authoritarian. But if you were doing it so to watch me die, then you wouldn't be
I
authoritarian.
disagree. It's me saying my will over yours.
That's authority.
Imposing your will is not... well, I mean, you're always imposing your will, though.
No, we work in a constitutional republic with democratically elected leaders. So we do exert our will, but it's through cooperation and through laws.
Right. But
So there authority exists. Like our system isn't anarchic. We live in a country that is slightly more. We live in a rather centrist society. We're not too authoritarian. We kind of are in a lot of ways, and we're not completely libertarian. But we have certain freedoms in certain areas, and we're not super left. We're not super right in terms of economics. We're a mixed economy, and it's fairly balanced. It's fairly balanced. I can say, I want to elect this person, and I can exert my will, and others can challenge that, but we don't beat each other to death. And I don't go to someone and steal their money, take their assets from them so they can't compete. They're allowed to compete fairly on equal footing because I don't have power over them in a certain capacity.
So exerting your will without violence is, you would consider, not authoritarian, but
Not
exerting your
necessarily.
will through violence is authoritarian?
No. If I went to you and said, I will publish embarrassing photos about your significant other. It's just exerting some kind of force, coercive, manipulative, or physical force against a person to subjugate their will.
Then at that point, I wonder why you're doing it. I think whether or not it's authoritarian comes down to why you're doing it. If you,
That doesn't
like,
matter.
The Joker,
My will be done.
He wasn't I agree with you. I don't think he was authoritarian. I think he was just anarchic. He was crazy.
I don't.
The new Joker was based on Bernie Goetz, which is like a really famous case that kind of applies. I've been thinking about it a lot with Kyle Rittenhouse, but the person that they based it off of, he was just sick of crime and he wanted to stand up to people harassing him on the subway, and he ended up shooting people.
The new Joker.
Yeah,
The movie. That was a great movie.
But yeah, the NRA like took up his case back in the 90s, and it's interesting.
Vigilantism.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is, for one, yeah, there's nuance in the discussion, but if you have a group of people who agree on their ideology, particularly that they're all racist, so they all are racist. These Antifa people are identitarian. They believe freaky, weird things about race, and they want racialized law. They go around saying, how do we get that? We beat people until they submit. That's authoritarianism.
because they're trying to impose this critical race.
It's not even
theory.
about impose. They're enforcing their will by subjugating you. If you had a government that said do it or else, and they went around telling people no more speaking out against us, it's authoritarianism. Just because they're not as big as a government doesn't mean they're not authoritarian. So I was actually talking to an Antifa guy in Berkeley a couple of years ago, and I explained to him when he was talking to me about, look, these right-wing groups, they come here and they're fascist, so we got to fight back. And I was like, come on, man, that little old lady, like, one of you guys threw a M80 at that old woman over there. And he's like, well, like, she shouldn't be with the fascists. I'm like, she didn't come with fascists. She just showed up with a Trump flag, and then other people showed up. And he was like, well, I think these people need to understand that what we're doing is better. And I was like, so you're an authoritarian? And he goes, dude, you can't be an authoritarian, okay? Because that's like a government. And I was like, and socialism's a government? Are you saying you can't be a socialist? And he was like, wait, I mean...
They all have separate rules. It's like how you can't be racist unless you can't be racist if you're black and all this stuff. Like, yes, you can. You can be racist. And then they think that because they're not a government and they don't have power, that they can't be authoritarian. It's all word games and...
Oh, definitely. The Democrats are so good at it. It's actually quite impressive how they'll just like anti-fascist. If you're not anti-fascist, you're pro-fascist. It's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But it works on stupid people. And I see them saying it on Facebook. So anyway, look, man, I was talking to some people a year ago, and this is hilarious because I was like, there's going to be race riots, man. It's going to be like everything we're seeing. I think it's fairly obvious. And they didn't believe it. They were like, okay, dude, like, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're just not paying attention. You're not watching what's going on. I think it's hilarious when I can say, this is what is likely to happen next for this reason. And then you get a bunch of people who are like, Tim's nuts. He thinks there's going to be a civil war. How about this story where a bunch of dudes were planning to kidnap a governor and actually let me stop. I saw this thread. This story is not one of these FBI staged operations. So you're familiar with how the FBI does this, right?
Yeah.
They'll basically like go to a dude who's like kind of stupid, and they'll be like, hey, don't you want to do this? And they'll be like, yeah. And they'll go, aha, we caught one. And it's like, no, you didn't. You just coaxed some moron into like agreeing to something dumb. These guys were staking out her house.
Yeah.
They were legit planning this stuff. So I'll tell you what, a year ago, I had people saying Tim's over the top, saying this stuff. And then I remember like we got a bunch of super chats too, like earlier in the year when things started kicking off, and they were like, man, you were right about this and what's going to happen next. Then I remember saying they're going to come to your house. It's not just going to be them marching downtown, because we saw what happened in Chicago when the aldermen were like, they're coming to the neighborhoods, don't raise the bridges. And then what happened? Start going to people's houses.
You got to be careful because you're observing and predicting, but you're also telling the world through YouTube videos, and hundreds of thousands of people are hearing you say they're going to come to your house. So people are like, I should go to their house. And you're seeding the future as well.
No, I disagree with that.
Oh, I
disagree.
You're definitely influencing
telling
future.
people that reporting on information is not making that information happen.
But if you say it's going to happen, then I think you're putting that in people's minds.
But it is, and I was right.
Well, you are also influencing it.
I did not make anyone go to anyone's house.
No, but you said it will happen, and hundreds of thousands of people heard you say that.
I think that's logical steps, though. I mean, they've been escalating it continuously. I mean, they started with like peaceful protests, then they started burning things in the street, then they start burning churches, and then going and marching down through the suburbs. Like it's all very, you can see that they're clearly escalating. So I don't think pointing out that it's escalating and that it's going to get worse will necessarily cause it to get worse. It's just the direction that it's going in.
If I didn't make any content, all of this still would have happened.
Well, it's impossible to figure that one out. But
I think it's absurd to argue that me telling people a bunch of activists went and smashed windows on people's homes, man. You got to be careful because it's not like they're going to go to every single house, but they're going to homes. That's not inspiring Antifa to go do anything.
Well, I think self-fulfilling prophecies are real. If someone believes something is going to happen, they'll
That's religious,
subconsciously,
spiritual stuff.
Of course it is, because you can't prove it with science. But manifestation, the placebo effect, if you think something is real, then you're like 30% more likely to happen with your body physically. They can't prove they don't understand the placebo effect, but it's real.
No, it
isn't.
isn't.
Placebo effect is a real thing.
Oh yeah, but that's just psychosomatic.
Yeah, but no one knows why it functions. It just the DNA like responds to what you think is real.
Well, no, the placebo effect doesn't alter your body's chemistry in the sense that like things that can't happen are happening. It alters your body's chemistry within the confines of what your body's chemistry can do.
It can make
listen.
feel things.
We're not going to have an argument about spiritual manifestation and New Age mumbo jumbo on this.
It's like a weird and wild conversation. It almost doesn't have place talking about side by side with politics. But when you're making videos and millions of people are hearing you say things are going to happen, I think that you're influencing it.
How?
Because if you're like, say some really horrible thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I believe you, I might go get involved.
So you're saying the people who watch me, who don't like, who like, there's Antifa people watching me going like, that is a good idea. Tim's right. We should go to people's homes, even though they already did.
Or if you're like, Antifa's horrible, someone might be like, I got to get a gun and go fight Antifa if they're horrible.
That's just normal communications. Anyone can do that.
What do you mean?
Like, people talk to each other. Whether or not what you're basically saying is everyone should lock their doors and stop talking to each other, and everything will stop.
No, you should definitely keep talking. But I think it's important to acknowledge the power that prediction has.
What do you mean?
Like if you say, it's a weird conversation. I can't prove this stuff, but it seems like if people believe something is going to happen, that it's more likely to happen.
Then I can just say, did you know that if you count to 10, your wish will come true? Like I can make up stuff too.
People would start counting to 10 if you did
right.
that.
If you're going to tell me here right now that I'm manifesting Antifa showing up to people's homes, then I'm just going to make up something and say, if you can name 7 prime numbers in quick succession, you'll get a wish.
People would do it, and some people might actually get their wish.
No, that's not what I'm saying. If you think the manifestation thing is this like New Age spiritual secret stuff,
a placebo effect's real.
Then why? So you're saying I can make up something, people will do it, and their wishes will come true?
You'd be like, if you think of dogs, you'll be happier, and then people will start thinking of dogs and feel happier. And it won't happen every time, but
that's
that will happen.
not what you're talking about. You're talking about manifesting Antifa showing up.
Well,
at
if you're
people's
saying
homes.
Antifa's bad and they're coming, and someone's like, "Oh, I got to get a gun and go fight Antifa," that's a more literal.
I think people are more likely to be like, I got to get a gun and protect my house, which they should do. You should arm yourself and make sure that you're safe. I am a firm believer in that, especially after what happened to me over the summer. But I don't think that it's more likely to cause people to go and be like, I need to go shoot Antifa. But warning people might make them more likely to go get a gun or to learn how to use it or defend themselves, defend their home. I don't think that's a bad thing.
And the argument you're making basically is everybody should stop talking to each other.
I didn't say that.
Well, then, you think it's good to encourage people to go to people's homes and get violent?
No.
So then should they stop talking about it so that people don't show up to other people's homes?
No, but you can choose how you talk about it. Like saying Antifa's bad all the time. That can be dangerous.
But they are bad.
Well, they have done bad things.
Should I lie and say Antifa's actually good,
you're
guys?
You're talking about the past and you're creating the future.
There's no circumstance in which Antifa goes around building homes for the homeless and planting flowers.
Well, they could start doing that.
Their garden in Chaz was real bad.
Yeah, they did try their LARP garden in Chaz, to be fair. But dude, there's never going to be a circumstance where Antifa stops rioting and starts building houses for the homeless.
It could be, yeah. Of course, that's something crazy
like
that could happen.
It's physically possible. It's not going to happen.
Okay,
that's ridiculous.
So saying that though, this is my point is when you're emphatically saying this, the future is this, then you're creating like that.
No, I'm not creating anything. I don't believe in magic.
Quantum physics. It's not magic.
Yes,
man.
It is.
Stuff is an infinite wave of possibilities. And then
you're making it magic,
This
dude.
is quantum physics. And
no,
it collapses
isn't.
into the.
Yeah, you can't just call it. You can't just call it. No, it's not.
It's a bunch of. It's a wave of possibility.
You watched too many. What the bleep do we know?
It's
videos.
just atoms, man, spinning around, and then they form into positions.
Oh, dude, the double slit experiment stuff is just new age hippie BS. Because I've actually talked to quantum physicists about it, and when they actually explain how it works, everything you're saying is like you watched a YouTube video. You have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to quantum physics.
I know that the wave of possibility does collapse.
What does that mean?
It means that if you aren't aware of something and then you
believe
something is going to be a certain way, it has a tendency to become
That's actually completely incorrect. You're talking about wave function collapse when an electron is a wave function and then it becomes a point, because we can view mathematically electrons as points or as waves, and wave function collapse occurs at a certain point and we don't know when. And what you're talking about is a reference to something called the double slit experiment, where when we tried to measure wave function collapse, we found that when we measured it, we got a particle a point versus a wave. But when we stopped measuring the specific point, we got a wave. And a bunch of hippies saw that and was like, whoa. So it means when you like observe stuff, it changes reality, which is not true. It meant that something we did to measure this interfered with the process, causing wave function collapse, and we don't know what it is.
That's my
but
point.
It doesn't shape reality. That's magic mumbo jumbo.
But when you're saying something is a certain way, that's the measurement.
No, what are you talking about?
You just said, when you measure something, it's altering the wave to become a certain way.
No.
And we don't know why.
No.
This is what you just said.
Ian, I think that if we were to entertain your idea that Tim is kind of putting this out into the atmosphere and people are kind of picking up on it and going with it and it's creating negativity, you could also entertain the possibility that maybe he's causing a positive difference by making people aware of it and making people pay attention to what's going on in the world. If they're thinking Antifa is somebody who could come visit my house, maybe I should start watching the news. Maybe I should pay attention to what they're worried about. Maybe I should take care of my family. Maybe, we should move or we should take steps to just be aware of what's going on around us. So there 100% could be a positive spin as well. Now, I don't know anything about the quantum physics, but I'm just saying, I think that if you're going to preach something into existence in that way, it could also be incredibly positive. That's my spin on it.
I don't talk about things until they happen.
Well, I see you do both. You'll talk about what happened, and then you'll make a statement about what you think is going to happen.
Right. So, like, Antifa goes around rampaging through residential neighborhoods, and they attack a house, and I go, oh, man, it's only a matter of time before they do more.
Right.
This is the path they're on.
Right.
This is what's already happening. Me watching a domino fall over didn't make the domino fall over. Me saying, if that domino falls over, that one is sitting right in front of it is not manifesting it. If I sat on a show and started saying things like, I think in 3 years, this is exactly what's going to happen, it would be insane and never happen.
Right.
I'm not predicting anything astronomical when I say a roving band of far left extremists smashed up someone's house. It's only a matter of time before they come to a neighborhood near you.
You could argue that it's
literally
logical.
happened.
It's like logic. You're using logic, and the universe isn't always logical.
I think you're inverting correlation and causation, and that's simply because I can see a pattern. You're assuming I created the pattern.
Well, I think if you see there's multiple potential patterns and you're picking one.
I think that's new age hippie mumbo jumbo and you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, the future's not written in stone.
Like there's this thing called The Secret, which is rooted in this idea that they don't know when wave function collapse occurs. Therefore, if we observe something, we change its reality, and therefore we can create, what do they call them, dream boards or something? Where they like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
dream
you
board
sent
things?
me this thing.
Yeah, they make like a board with all the things they want on it, and then they're like, that will manifest it. Dude, I literally have people, like, I have a friend, I'm driving in LA, and he's like, you can just park in front of my house. I'm like, there's no parking spaces. Well, just manifest one. I was like, what? Just manifest a parking space, dude. I was like, dude, come on, man. It's not helping me find a parking space to tell me to will one into
It'll
existence.
inspire someone to go get in their car and.
Yes, because I'm
it's not
psychic.
going to work.
Well,
It doesn't work
there's
that way.
something to, psychic energy.
No, I'll tell you what there's something to is pattern recognition. And if you have a really good memory and you're good at math and you're good at pattern recognition, you can predict the future and you can use it to be successful.
No one's flawless. You can predict potential futures. I agree with that.
And if you have a
people can
tendency to be correct, you'll be successful.
Yeah,
which
that's
you've
called the
proven
Matthew
that.
principle.
But it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there's only one future and that you tapped that one.
Of course, there's billions,
Right.
infinite futures.
Right.
Yeah. So the point is, I can only do what I can do. And me saying something, sure, it's influential, but it's not manifesting anything. And me pointing something out isn't making Antifa be like, I know, Tim Pool's right. We should go do all these things. They're already doing it.
I mean, I can't make this argument. It's insane for me to even go down that road. I know how ridiculous this last 20 minutes has sounded.
I don't know, it sounds fun to me.
It's a hilariously awesome.
I've seen so many people talk about The Secret. Do you guys ever see that?
I only know of it because of that bling ring girl.
Bling Ring Girl?
Yeah, remember the teenagers that were breaking into all the celebrities' homes a while back? They made a movie about it. Your doppelgangers in it.
Oh,
What?
no. I got to look it up now.
But the mom was really into The Secret, and I just remember seeing it on that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look this up.
The Secret, it's like if you wake up and will it to happen, it will happen. And it's like, dude, there's two things. There's positive mental attitude and there's focusing on your goals. These are not magic. It's like if you wake up and think to yourself, I want to do X, you're more likely to do it because you're thinking about doing it. If you're not thinking about playing chess, you're not going to play chess.
Right. And if you wake up and you think Civil War is going to happen today, you might subconsciously be leading people towards it.
The problem with that argument, or just the general idea, is what should anyone do?
I think that all of this takes away the fact that people have free will. And even if you tell somebody to go do something directly, that it's still up to them whether or not they want to do that. And I think that all of this like willing stuff into existence just kind of takes away people's agency and the fact that people are responsible for their own actions.
I also think it takes away a lot of nuance because so many different people are affected by millions of different things, like how much they ate for breakfast this morning. That affects your mood. That affects your willingness to be aggressive. Like nobody ever thinks about this stuff, but it's more than one thing.
Maybe we're all in one big simulation.
Yes.
It's all just a big game.
Do I wake up soon?
And, I had this really funny thought. I think we may have talked about it, where I'm like, what if the simulation, the goal, is just to make automatic entertainment? So, like, think about it. We have a formula for sitcoms, right? It's like, dude, you can take any one of these trash sitcoms, like Big Bang Theory. Have you ever seen Big Bang Theory with no laugh track? These viral videos?
It's horrible.
So it's like they did Seinfeld with no laugh track and Friends with no laugh track. Actually, I think Seinfeld had a laugh track. And it's not funny at all. The shows never were. I mean, actually, Seinfeld was pretty good. But Big Bang Theory, it's like the guy walks in and he goes, "Are you playing checkers?" And that's it. There's just silence.
Ugh.
And the guy goes, "What?" Then dead silence. Because they just throw in random laughter to make you laugh. So, anyway, my idea is we know how to make sitcoms. The plot is irrelevant. Just throw in some random laugh tracks, write some random garbage jokes, and congratulations, Simpsons on what, season 30 or something?
Ugh.
Is it really 30, I think?
AI is writing music. Have you heard the AI
Right.
music?
Well, so here's my point. Simulation theory or simulism. What if an advanced race was like, we're going to make an entertaining show about the 21st century. So they wrote an AI to just generate random human interaction. And they have like a slider bar where they're like, we told the AI to make interesting things. And then, just let it go. And then people watch the funny conversations. So like there's people watching the simulation on their TVs at home like, oh, season 20's on Donald Trump's president. This is great. It's like everything's crazy. 2020 makes no sense. These guys are trying to kidnap a governor. Come on. This is a plot of some TV show. Like it's being automatically generated. We're all in it. Congratulations, you're the stars. Actually, no, we're probably ancillary characters at best.
Huge star right now. If there's 100,000+ people watching, we're starring in it right now.
Not
At least for
many.
some people.
No, dude, we're
on in the background.
Yeah, Donald Trump's the main character. Like right now, the people who are watching at home the simulation are watching Donald Trump take a dump on a golden toilet.
Right now, literally in the universe, this show is live, and it's probably one of the more popular things being watched by humanity.
Have you played Fallout 3?
I was just playing Fallout 4 downstairs.
Okay, in Fallout 3, you have apocalyptic radio or whatever.
Yeah.
He's not the main character. He's just a radio guy, and you can hear him sometimes. That's what we are. Donald Trump's the star of the AI show. He's the funny guy. He's the sitcom character. All right, everyone's laughing, and he's president, and he's like,
Orange.
He's orange and bumbling around, doing crazy stuff, and peace deals, and Joe Biden. Oh, Joe, I'm coming for you.
I think it's not a simulation necessarily, but we're simulating our sensory organs are making simulated experience like ones and zeros. So it's all touch. Like we say, it's sense, smell, hearing, sight, but it's all just forms of touch. It's all like vibration on a sensor.
I think everything is so absurd that the funniest thing about this like simulation talk, which has been getting more and more popular, is that it's just like it's a more complicated version of religion.
Do you think God is real?
I do. Yeah, I believe in God.
What do you think it is?
God? I wouldn't know how to describe it. A higher entity or power. There's a long conversation in talking about what God is, but I think it's really interesting that you have, God's plan and, his will and humans' free will. And it's very much like you could actually correlate the idea of simulation theory alongside some like aspects of religion.
Do you think God is real?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. This is a whole conversation.
Yeah, this is like too broad of a question, dude.
You've seen the cosmic microwave background radiation? Have you ever seen this stuff?
I haven't seen it. I've read about
With like radio telescopes, they measure this big web of energy that looks like it's left over from the Big Bang. This one that we've experienced. And it looks like it's arcing through planetoids and causing like your heart beats. There's like an electrical current going through your body in this rhythm. I think that's God, or that God is that's some sort
I
of
don't think you can
intelligent-
even think what God is. That's the thing. Let me tell you something. We share a planet with ants. Ants will never know what a highway is. Okay? Dogs and humans diverged in evolution not really that long ago. We're very similar in a lot of ways. In fact, you can see the whites of a dog's eyes because we symbiotically, sort of evolved over time. I would say that they actually evolved to work with us, and we were always kind of the same. Even though dogs are mammals, have hair, have nails, you can vocalize sort of raw, you can't tell a dog what a highway is. So think about the difference between a human. I mean, not even that. Think about the difference between a human and a chimp, okay? Like relatively similar in terms of DNA. You can't tell a chimp how quantum mechanics works. So think about how closely related we are to other animals, and you could never explain a basic concept like a pulley system. Now try and tell me that you can think about whatever God is. It's not going to happen, dude.
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up, and I think your parallel is kind of close, but there were a few times when God actually showed himself in the Bible, in the Christian tradition, and do you know what happened to the people that he showed himself to?
Didn't their heads explode?
They died.
Yeah.
They fell over dead. It was no contest, no question. There were no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They died. There's no room in the human mind for what God is, even in the Bible. So whatever your comprehension of God is, I think that it's fair to say.
It's like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones.
Yes,
when she's like,
exactly
I want to
like that.
know. And then she's like, no, it's too much. And then her head explodes or whatever.
Didn't Noah get talked to by God?
So Moses went up and he got the 12 commandments, but he did not see God. He saw God in a form in the burning bush.
The
so
burning
he was
bush.
a very small form
Which
of like showing
apparently
God that he was there.
Was it the acacia plant?
I don't know what
People
plant
think that it was this acacia plant that you breathe and you start. It's like a psychedelic.
You're saying he was
Interesting.
tripping?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Don't know about that.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, Moses was tripping.
You ever tried DMT? I'm
Yes,
kidding.
I have. It's amazing.
Tim Rogan.
No.
Highly recommend.
He's the one who talked about tripping.
But I didn't do a lot. I just took a puff. They say take it in and just hold it in as long as you can. But I was like, it's not really how it
inhale.
works. So I just took a puff and I saw gravity, man. I saw the dude across from me and I just saw him sinking. And I was like, whoa, we are getting pulled down right now. And we're totally desensitized to it. But that
kinda used to it.
DMT like freed me from that desensitization for a moment.
I think I've always had funny conversations with people who are like, you got to try, psilocybin or psychedelics. And I'm like, dude, you only think that because you did, and it alters your mind in that way. And so you think, like, I've had people tell me that they did shrooms, they could like understand truth, and they truly saw. And I'm like, yes, you're altering your brain chemistry, dude. I was like, I can see truth, I can understand things. No, you don't understand. No, you don't understand. Like, dude, your brain is different. My brain is different. We both think we know things. Just because you did shrooms doesn't change that fact. But I think the DMT thing's funny.
DMT is your brain creates it out of the pineal gland. It like secretes it.
When you sleep, when you dream or whatever.
Yeah, it's.
Interesting.
I think
know
it's
that.
maybe responsible for the dream state in general.
So now it just makes Kamala Harris seem so insignificant. This whole debate thing. It's like we have this debate thing. It's like
I love talking
Who
about
cares?
God, but I'm down to talk about the debate.
the
What do
fly.
Yeah, man.
What do you want to do?
Let's talk about the fly.
Let's talk about the fly.
The fly. The star of the show.
Yeah.
The fly. So there's like a viral photo of Trump and Hillary, and they have flies on their faces too.
And Obama, yeah.
Yeah, and Obama.
There's
happens.
that video of Obama killing the fly with his bare hand too.
Jerk.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a
I was
psycho
like,
killer.
That's pretty gross, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, yeah, and I was like,
Someone
no.
should make a video where Kamala has like a lizard tongue.
Oh no, I actually have that meme on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Somebody sent it to me a couple hours ago.
Lizard people.
She's
I
a
love
lizard,
it.
and her tongue.
Dude,
is
I
stuck to
love-
Pence's head.
Oh
I
my
love the
gosh.
lizard people conspiracy theory because it was based on the fact that internet video was bad. For real, like there were old videos on YouTube where they were like, look at this video, watch right here, and they would play it. Right there, you can see Hillary transform into a lizard, and it was artifacting when like the video quality just goes bad and like. And I'm
Glitches a
like,
little
dude,
bit,
you're
yeah.
watching a Flash video. It's the year is 2005. Calm down.
I have a theory on the lizard people.
They're actually lizards and they live underground.
Well, I think you're back in the day when humanity split and a bunch of people went north and to the tundra and they couldn't grow crops anymore, so they had to start hunting. And in order to hunt, they acted all lizard-like. And they,
What are you talking about?
They'd have to like act like,
Dude,
like wild, like
there's
crazy, bloodthirsty
There's
killers.
no evolution in the past 5,000 years
It must
that
have been
turned
before
humans
that,
into
though.
lizards.
And so they had to hunt all the time, and they hunted, and then they
Bro.
came back south, and they killed. And this is like the white people, basically.
No.
And so they're accessing their lizard brain to kill.
The
They have that
actual
killer
the
instinct.
actual conspiracy theory is that there was a super intelligent species of dinosaur that fled underground when the meteor hit the Earth.
Hollow Earth.
It's not hollow. They live in caves. And so they were very smart. So they started developing subterranean civilizations that have been around for millions of years longer than humanity. It's not a hollow Earth. It's just literally like underground. And so then, now that they're subterranean, they can't go, they're too light sensitive, so they can't leave underground. So they created the Denver airport, which was moved so they could have,
Yes.
that's the whole conspiracy.
This makes sense.
And then, dude, it's just, these stories are fascinating and fun, but just, you'd wish for them to be true, just so life would be exciting. And that's what I think most of it is. Life is boring, it's routine. Donald Trump is president. I guess everyone's satisfied for the time being, and all these weird conspiracies have kind of gone away. But it's just not real.
The Iron Sky sequel is about the lizard people. Highly
Oh,
recommend
yeah.
it.
The lizard
Interesting.
people.
It's ridiculous.
What is that? Is that the one where the Nazis went to the moon?
Yeah, but this is a sequel, and the sequel is about the underground lizard people.
Oh,
and it's all
cool.
like the politicians and stuff.
Oh my
Sweet.
gosh. Okay.
It's great.
I gotta look it up.
Now it just feels like, can we? We're going to talk about the debate, but now
Yeah.
it's just like
Let's talk about magnetics. That's the real magic
that's
in the
similar.
world.
Talk- to the debate.
talking about Mike Pence arguing with Kamala Harris seems so insignificant now.
Well, was-
I
talking about the
liked
lizard people.
The debate, though.
I
Let's
did
talk about
too.
the debate.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
did.
Who do you guys think won? Okay, obviously there's no
Pence.
winner or loser. You thought
There's a
Pence-
winner.
Oh, yeah,
I
there's a
loved
winner.
Pence.
Pence
I
won.
loved him. I thought he
Easily.
was great. He was normal. He was presidential. He was just like classic presidential debate. Like it was. I loved it.
Yeah.
Normalcy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can who told Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris that the appropriate thing to do would be to smile widely and massive smile and laugh when asked serious questions?
Yeah, they're condescending, and they learned nothing from 2016. Obviously.
It's infuriating when someone's like, "We had 380,000 people die due to the failures of the VA, and that was under Biden."
Oh my god.
Like stop. Oh,
Someone tweeted at me that she was like an HR manager, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Queen HR manager.
I think she hates Biden, man. I think that's why
Oh,
she's
dude,
laughing.
she hates
It's 'cause
Biden.
She hates him and hates what she's doing and
The-
like faking.
Look, the most important thing to know is that everything she said, if I was Pence and like someone was interviewing me and they were like, well, in your discussion, Kamala Harris said, X, Y, and Z, I'd say, well, as you know, it was a debate. And that means everything she said was completely irrelevant because
Yeah.
it was a debate.
Indeed.
It was a debate, and therefore, she doesn't mean anything she says.
Yeah, he's
Because
gotta
it was a
get more
debate.
memey.
Yeah.
I thought you were right when you said that at the end he was very nice when he responded to that girl.
It was so sincere. I loved it.
And then
Who? Wait, which girl?
The write-in question.
Oh, right,
from
right,
the
right.
Student, the 8th grader.
What was the name? What was her name?
I forget.
Breckenridge or something?
Yeah, but he remembered the name
Berkman?
and he kept saying her name, and like it was very personal and it was very sincere and off the cuff. And then Kamala did hers, and she was just like, "Vote Biden." Ha.
Did you know that if you divide 2020 by 666, you get 30330?
We crunched the numbers. It's true.
that's what you tweet.
Someone super chatted that.
Oh, that's what you text to Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's like a text number.
Do you think it's all a magnetic
No,
superstructure?
no.
And it's all connected?
No, I refuse.
I think it is.
I just, I got to be honest, man. I think the debate was totally meaningless. It's like all these debates are people like, my guy won.
I
No,
don't
my
know.
guy won.
I liked it, and I think that it was a nice contrast to you have Trump, who's a madman and throwing red meat to his base and being fiery and funny, and then you had Pence, who is serious and classic, and it was like a timeless debate. Like it was, he held himself well. He was polite, and I thought that it was a nice change of pace from the politics that we see, which is constantly mudslinging and just so aggressive.
I felt like we went into a time machine
Yeah.
back to like the 90s or the 2000s.
I found it comforting. It was
I
like
did
a
too.
comfort
I
blanket.
felt that.
Kamala
Yeah,
Harris
I did.
Kamala Harris is not a return to normal.
No.
She is a intersectionality, racism, far left, all of these things. And Mike Pence is your boring old traditional conservative.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of people like seeing that.
I know,
Things have
right.
gotten so crazy. We have a freaking plague and riots and all this insanity this year. And then you have Pence, who comes and he's very reassuring. He's very positive. His message was uplifting. And I think that's a nice thing for people to see.
I think people underestimate these politicos, how important showing strength is in terms of who gets elected. So for Mike Pence to be like, I'm not going to stop talking no matter who's yelling at me, and I'm just going to keep saying whatever I want and talk to the hand, it showed that Pence doesn't back down.
Yeah, but
And-
he did it in a way that was graceful, whereas Kamala was like, I'm speaking, and she's like,
Rehearsed.
like,
So scripted.
it was just so over the top aggressive. Like, she was trying to create a meme. She wanted to be
Yep.
like a
It was
viral
scripted.
moment.
It was totally planned. I'm
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah,
I'm speaking.
yeah, she wanted to be a GIF. Or
Right,
GIF,
right.
Whatever.
You know, but this is the problem. I think we need a mix of Trump and Pence.
Yeah, and I think
Because I want someone who's going to be like, oh, you're speaking. Did your speechwriter, plan that one for you? Is this part of your bit? I can. Oh, what's that? Oh, someone made a meme already. Congratulations,
We need
Kamala.
Rick.
yeah.
Rick?
Rick of Rick and Morty.
Oh, Rick Sanchez.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Some quick wit. I'm just sick of the fake, and I think Mike Pence brought normalcy back. He's calm, rational. He thanked, Kamala for her kind words on the president's health and congratulated her for, making it where she did and all that stuff. And it was very, very straight-laced, traditional American
Yeah, it was
politics.
classic.
Yeah.
But I just, can't we get a little bit more, but not too much into Trump space? You know what I mean?
So, who I was thinking would have been perfect was somebody like Tulsi, because one of the things that I've thought for a really long time about her is that even though I disagree with a lot of her policies, I always thought that you would be able to sit down with her and talk to her about something that you disagreed with her on. And you would end up probably agreeing to disagree, but then she would take your opinion under advisement and be like, okay, I kind of see where you're coming
I
from.
love her.
I do too. I was like, I think that's a perfect type of
I want
person.
her and Massey to have a bipartisan ticket in 2024,
Ooh,
and
that'd be fun.
I will like quit my job to campaign for.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Not really, sorry.
You've
Mom.
talked a lot about Massey. What's his deal? I don't know much about him.
He's great. He's a almost like a Rand Paul kind of figure, except he's also pro WikiLeaks. Him and Tulsi have a bill in there right now condemning the arrest of Julian Assange. He's always speaking about like individual liberty. He came out and defended Kyle Rittenhouse, which was very bold.
Wow.
I think he's great. He's in my top 3 right now.
Yeah, he's
I
pretty
have,
sassy.
I have a crazy idea for Trump.
Ooh.
You see that kind of like tirade he went on about indicting Obama and everything. He was being interviewed and he was like, "What's Bill Barr doing?" I'm like, "We've got all this evidence and all this information. Make some arrests." And Bill Barr's like, "No, we need more. It's going to be better. We got bigger fish to fry." Trump, just pardon Assange and Snowden. Just like, there you go. That'll piss him off.
I mean, I've been saying this for years, but who are his biggest enemies? The deep state and the fake news. If he wants to stick it to the fake news and to the deep state all at once, pardon Assange. There's nobody that the media hates more than a truth teller who brings the receipts and shows people actual documents. Nothing that he's said has ever had to be retracted or corrected. And he's been fighting the same people who tried to take Trump down. That's his entire.
I mean, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, like, Trump, if you're getting antsy and you're getting angry because you want karmic justice, we'll call it that, then pardon Assange and Snowden.
I have told people this for years too. If he pardons Julian Assange, I will go and get a Trump tattoo and live stream.
That would be so much fun. Now
I
want him
will
to do
live
it.
stream it.
I
You're
want
not
this
the
to
only
happen.
one. I'm not saying I would, but I think
You're gonna
other
get a Trump
people would
tattoo
do.
with
No,
me?
Yes.
Okay, look, hold on. This is what I can't understand. You've got the likes of, Glenn Greenwald and many other anti-war leftists who still refuse to acknowledge that Trump has given them some things.
Yeah.
So the Middle Eastern peace deals, withdrawing troops, it's like not good enough for any of these people. Glenn Greenwald, I think, crop dusts it. He gets close as possible to being like, this is pretty good of Trump, but he can't because The Intercept is still like Orange Man bad.
Yeah, he goes on Tucker and stuff though and has nice
For sure.
conversations.
I think the rest of his
good thing.
organization, though, is just TDS. Like these stupid articles that they're like, it's the same garbage you'll read in any one of these lefty publications. I think they should just go all in and be like, the establishment Democrats are awful, warmongers, imperialists, and the never Trumpers who joined them are the refugees of the former Republican Party that Trump took over.
That's the other thing Kamala did last night that drove me crazy. She was bragging about having all these Bushies backing her.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah, we were like,
when I was on the left, if a candidate had said this stuff as like a bragging right, I would have been like, bye, I am done. I would have walked out the door and been like, all right, what's up, third party?
seriously.
I think it's possible Trump loses, but I think it's impossible that the establishment wins in 2024. Unless, of course, they ban everyone from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
I think Buttigieg has a shot.
I don't
don't
like
know.
him at all.
Me neither.
I immediately got bad vibes because Bill Kristol's new blog came out, and like they were publishing tons of puff pieces about him, and I was like, oh god, he's a closet neocon. Like, this is the only explanation for Bill Kristol's website to be going this hard for
it's because
any candidate.
The neocons in the establishment Republican Party ran with their tails between their legs when Trump took over, and it wasn't supposed to happen. And they banged on the door of the Democrats saying, you know us, we're friends. And the Democrats were like, oh, you poor things, come inside. And now they got all of them lined up, all aligned. I love it when they announced that, you know, Joe Biden was getting endorsed by all these Republicans and like intelligence assets, intelligence agents. And I'm like, this is the greatest endorsement for Donald Trump I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like these people. Like, I don't understand how the activists left from 10 years ago were like, the FBI is, you know, unconstitutional, the NSA warrantless wiretapping and all these awful things. And now they're like, woo, go FBI, yeah. It's like, now I'll be fair. When it comes to the FBI arresting like these wingnuts and stuff, now I give praise where praise is due. I'm just saying, how can the left be so anti-intelligence agency and anti-government and now sing all the praises for all these people? And then they're like, but Trump is the government. It's like, Trump is one guy in the office of the president, and he's got every single one else against him. And these people have they're acting on pure raw emotion. They have nothing behind what their ideas actually are. And so, I don't know. What else can you do?
So basically, all the Bush, the warmongers, I don't know. Okay, so apparently there's a deep state and there's a shadow government, and they're two different things. I've been listening to this. Kevin Shipp, I think is his name. He's a CIA.
Shadow government?
Yeah, there's a thing called the shadow government and a thing called the CIA. And they're
The CIA?
no, not the CIA, the deep state.
I know about that one.
And one's an American thing, and then the other one's like a global organization.
I don't believe any of that.
Well, it's according to the CIA guy, and he's like, they're everywhere, they know everything, they do everything. If you wonder what's going on, it's this.
The deep state is just a reference to the fact that if, like, Bill Clinton appoints someone to run the FBI, that person stays in that job typically through multiple presidencies.
Right. They're unelected.
Yeah, they're unelected people working in government who have control and stay there. So I can't remember who it was, but it was actually one of the heads of these intelligence agencies says, like, well, we don't call it the deep state, we just call it permanent government.
So Bush's deep state just basically was still there when Obama came in, and then they just got their tentacles into Obama. And then
like Obama fired a ton of people and brought in, you know, like loyalists and stuff. Yeah, I don't remember the exact number that he fired, but like no one cared. The media was like, oh, we don't care. Like all of the anti-war stuff stopped when Obama won because they were like, that's it, pack it in, we won. You know, we never cared in the first place, so you know.
And they just kicked up their spying organ, like Clapper lying under oath.
I know.
Still to this day drives me nuts that he didn't get any pure impunity for that.
Do you see Trump retweet that meme of Chris Farley screaming, "For the love of God, arrest someone"?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what can he do? He's relying on Bill Barr, but I'll tell you this: I really don't like the idea of an October surprise. Like if Bill Barr waits until the week before the election to launch like a wave of indictments, I'm gonna roll my eyes and be like, ugh.
I'll still be happy to see people indicted. I want to see some like heads roll. I'm at that point.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys want to cry? Let's give you something to cry about. I don't care who it is. Throw someone in jail.
For what specifically?
Anything. I just want to see. I want to see.
Hillary Clinton was caught with an ounce of pot.
Yes.
Straight to jail.
No, because we've had a bunch of Trump people getting screwed. They're going to jail. They're losing their houses. Flynn, Roger Stone, all these people. I don't care who it is. I want one of these people to be thrown in jail. I want them to throw away the key.
Straight to jail.
I don't care if it's
Yeah.
because they
Believe
were
it or not.
speeding on the highway. Like, I just want one of them thrown in jail so that we can say, haha, we got one of yours.
Oh yeah.
Don't care.
I would. What did Hillary actually break the law? Do you know?
Oh,
are there
yes.
any
Yeah.
laws that she
Yeah.
broke?
Yeah.
I would like to see her on trial.
Well,
Not
hold on.
necessarily-
She's very clever about how things went down. And so first let me just say, deleting the emails, of erasing public records, smashing cell phones and stuff, technically those were other people who did all that. And she feigns ignorance. So I think if there was a proper investigation of her, you'd be able to get her on tons of crimes.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, you look at what the Clinton Foundation, like all this money that was coming in. How is that allowed? Like, I'm gonna be a Secretary of State, and I'm gonna launch a nonprofit that takes money from foreign governments. Like, I don't care what you do with the money. I don't care if you're using it to build houses for the homeless. Working in government while having a nonprofit that takes money from other governments is insane.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm kind of getting mixed feelings. Like, the French Revolution, they just started chopping people's heads off.
Yeah, storming the Bastille.
20 people a
I'm
day.
ready.
They'd march them into
Just
the
kidding.
center of Paris and beat the drums, and it was like
My
terrifying.
favorite
Dude.
painting in the whole world is a woman outside the Bastille, and she's holding up a sword, and she's ready to cut some heads off.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
but you
Love
don't.
it.
We don't want any
No,
of that.
I
dude.
don't want that.
No,
So-
I don't want it. I'm just saying that
But-
that was the one cool thing the French did. I'm not a fan of the French.
No, I don't think it was
invented
cool.
mayonnaise.
I love the
I
French.
understand the idea of overthrowing a tyrannical government, all this stuff. I would actually say the one cool thing is when the Americans said, F your government, we got our own, do something about it, and then told them to F off and won. I don't like the French Revolution because the French Revolution was like random people, mob justice running around, chop.
Fled to the desert in California after, the family broke up. And they started following this guy who went by Lightning Amen. And he had long hair, and he said he was Jesus, and they wore like white robes and stuff.
You step out of line and they start hitting you.
Cancel culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that cults have to be kind of inherently left in most cases because you have to be very collectivist. And I think that the right is too individualistic and focused on personal freedom and personal individuality.
What are the elements of a cult?
Well, you have to have a set of beliefs. Usually there's a leader. And I don't know. I guess it depends because there's a lot of different kinds of cults. You have sex cults that are based around sex and usually some kind of figurehead. But also doomsday cults also usually have a figurehead. They vary. They're all very different. I don't think you can say that like all cults have a certain formula.
Then how would you know a cult? You know what I mean? Like when you look at a group of people, how do you know it's a cult?
Well, I don't know. I think that it very much depends. Like people said that the Waco, that the Branch Davidians were a cult. Other people argue that they were just religion and that they were doing Bible study. But they did live in a commune. They did have, marriages within the group. I don't know. I think that there's a very fine line between religion and cult. And I think that is a hard thing to define.
Yeah, because there's it's been Antifa on the far left, intersectionalists have been described by some very smart individuals as a non-theistic religion.
Right.
Meaning there's no God, but they operate. It's almost like a faux religion in the sense where you have everything but the nucleus.
Right.
There's no real doctrine. There's no real unifying ethos other than these weird nebulous ideas that kind of flicker and change on a whim. But they all know what they're in and they all bow to it.
Yeah,
And
and
they have
they're
their
kind
priests.
of leaderless right now, which is bizarre.
Well, they have priests.
Yeah, but they don't have like a central, like Biden's certainly not
Yeah.
Right,
their
right.
central figure. They don't have any real solid central figurehead that they all like. I mean, Bernie could have been, but he
Imagine if Bernie just embraced the cult, you
Yeah.
know, and then like put on a black robe and was like, "I am Bernie Sanders and I am the Democratic Party." No, it was because I think they struck too soon. The far left was growing and becoming more powerful, and they should have shut up for one more term, and then they would have just instantly taken over the Democrats. And now I think they're not gonna.
I've been waiting for another Jonestown, to be honest, because when Jim Jones went to Guyana and brought all his followers there before they drank the Kool-Aid and all that, his goal was to create a perfect communist utopia. And
Communist.
yeah.
These people are
Interesting.
crazy.
And that was the goal, and it was working well for a little while. They had people who were running farms, they had their own currency, they were very much involved in making it work, and they wanted it to be this beautiful, diverse communist utopia. But then it started crumbling because, Jim Jones started doing a lot of drugs and the women that he was with were also doing a lot of drugs, and it all started to crumble, and they became very paranoid and very afraid of the U.S. government and afraid of outside interference. So when a member of Congress went down there and some people told him that they wanted to escape, they killed him, and it set off the whole chain of events, which led to 956 people dying or something.
And that
Drinking
video
the Kool-Aid.
is on
was Flavor
YouTube
Aid.
of them drinking that. Have you ever watched that video?
Oh, I've watched everything.
Of the screaming women as they take their babies away from them. It's all audio.
Well,
It's
And
an
they
audio
force them
tape.
to do it?
They made they forced the children. So the parents had to give their children, it was Flavor Aid, not Kool-Aid. I don't know how Kool-Aid
Stole
deals
that
with
one?
this, but yeah. But they gave the cups to the parents. The parents had to kill their children, and then they had to kill themselves. And the people who didn't cooperate ended up being shot by the guards and stuff. But I think it was 956 people, and their deaths were pretty violent. It was pretty sad.
What kind of poison was it?
I forget what it was.
It was cyanide. I'm
yeah.
not 100% sure. Still remains.
Indeed.
I think it's working.
All right.
No,
Ooh.
it's not working.
No?
But it will.
Oh, I was going to say we could at least say goodbye to everybody. It's working.
It's working very poorly. That's cool, though. That's cool.
It says excellent connection. I don't know.
Oh, look at that. I think it came back.
Oh,
It
snap.
came back with a really bad connection.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have switched to our emergency satellite backup. I'm not kidding. We actually are using our dude. It's doing okay. It's not great. Yeah, it's not great at all. It's choppy and low res, but
We did it.
hey, there's still. What was that?
That was
it-
Betsy. Come here, Betsy.
Oh, she's screaming.
Yep.
So for those that have made it and you're online right now, our internet broke, but I have set up multiple contingencies, one of which is a satellite dish, and that's actually working.
All right.
But the upload rate's really bad, so it's actually not that bad. We can stream low res with satellite. Let's take some super chats.
Yes, let's do it.
I'll tell you what, though, if you are listening to this somehow live because you came back, we actually record this. So the full recording is going to be up on iTunes and Spotify and all the other podcasts. You can watch that. It'll be up like almost right after we did the show. We just upload it right away.
And it was good. We talked about cults.
Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of cult stuff. We just roll with it, and I'm like, well, we still have the full podcast, so people can check that out. Dude, I'm kind of stoked that the satellite's working. Not well, but well enough.
Cool.
So let's go for some super chats.
Super chat.
Super chats. We actually made it. It was really interesting when we were talking about all the crazy. I think we had a fun conversation. That was funny.
I love it.
It kind of made talking about the debates seem irrelevant.
Yeah.
We're talking about cults and like people going to comets and flying away and stuff. So, But anyway, dude, I'm actually really stoked to be forced to try out the satellite here, just because I never expected to use it, but it's actually
It was
working.
without an extender.
Yeah. That's crazy, and it's low quality, but hey, I'll take it.
Yes.
If we get trapped in a blizzard, we'll still be able to use satellite.
Right.
All right, let's see what we got here in some super chats. White Raven says, anarchical capitalists. I thought much of its economics and legal philosophy reflect anti-authoritarian interpretations of left-wing politics, such as communism, collectivism, syndicalism, mutualism, or participatory economics. So anarcho-capitalists are just like, what's that saying in Latin, let the buyer beware? You know that one?
Sorry?
Do you know the saying in Latin, let the buyer beware?
I'm not familiar with the Latin phrase.
It's a really famous Latin phrase. And that's like, it sums up anarcho-capitalism. Like, no government, you do your thing, you freely trade, you don't hurt people. Otherwise, you get hurt, right?
What's syndicalism? Is that what it's called?
Syndicalism?
Syndicalism. That's a cool one.
That's anarcho-communism.
Yeah.
Basically.
Interesting.
CVA Buck says, hope this gets through. Liberty Doll said last night that she wants to be on your program. You should look into her. I listened to your reply in the mornings. Logged in just long enough to post this. Hope to hear it tomorrow. Cool. The internet is really bad. because there's probably a cloud passing by, and like the stream cuts
Thank
out.
you guys for sticking with us.
Yeah, man.
You rock.
So someone said, Catherine Lowe says she is so evil. I'm 100% positive she set up her own kidnap to frame POTUS. The guy has earrings like a true leftist. It's a hoax. I mean, these guys aren't even right wing. It seems. I think one guy may have been, like, he was like one guy was like actually like pro Trump or something.
It's so crazy that she blamed Trump.
Like immediately.
I know.
Yeah.
So cliche. Ian Hall says Soy Judas Ian, who replaced Space Jesus Adam, needs to be replaced by a cat high on the nip. You need more balance on the subjects, Gen T Pool. Lydia's awesome and needs to assert more.
I will try to do
The
that.
nip.
Thank you for the criticism.
The nip. Yeah, so when the cats are like rolling around in catnip, it's like around. It's
awesome.
hilarious. Isn't it funny that like as a recreation, humans drug their cats?
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
We bought a whole bunch of catnip the other day, and it comes in like medicinal marijuana containers.
Oh my
And they all
gosh.
have different like catnip
awesome.
weed names.
I love
And
it.
they do different things. Like there's a sleepy time one.
Oh my gosh.
It's really bad.
Oh,
I kind
brilliant.
of felt
Cool.
guilty, but she loves it.
Oh my God. We gotta try.
Richard in Texas says, the guy who planned this was a leftist anarchist. I pulled his social media and he has video after video of leftist anarchist propaganda. Then created connections to InfoWars and Michigan militia through email. It's in the charging documents. This was a setup.
Oh, snap.
Interesting. Let's see. Ian Hall said, Lydia, mic drop.
Thanks. I don't remember what that was about.
I think that was when you told Ian he was dumb.
I didn't tell Ian he was dumb. I
kidding.
never
You
tell
just
anyone they're
gave it to-
dumb.
She's like,
Should
you so
bring it back around.
dumb.
No, yeah, that's not my MO.
All right, let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss any of the. We had some.
Yeah, I
good
want to
subjects.
hear what you guys think about manifestation. 'Cause
Oh,
that
yeah.
is crazy.
They said y'all crazy.
I think so, yeah.
They said that we were talking in circles and it was irritating.
Philosophy.
Oh.
Let's see. Hello, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Says Tim. Did you hear about the child kicked out of his virtual class for saying he admired Donald Trump
Yeah.
after the teacher asked the students who they admire? There's video to back it up. LOL insanity. Yeah, you wrote about that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched the video.
Yeah, I put that up on District Herald, I think.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. The mom, good for the mom though. She like defended her kid real hard. It was great. I loved listening to that.
Did the kid break like some sort of rules?
No, the teacher asked for them to, talk about someone they admired and I think write a couple sentences. And the one child chose Donald Trump. And I think they're like Honduran immigrants or something too. She had a thick accent. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she was watching the Zoom class while this is going on, and the teacher like kicked the kid out of the Zoom class and then went on this rant about how Donald Trump promotes hate and all this stuff, just a crazy anti-Trump rant. So the mom called the teacher and she recorded that too. And she was just like, why is my son not allowed to say he admires the president? And she held her own, and he lied to her, and he was lying about what the question was and all this stuff. But he kind of backed down because she like really stood up for her kid. It was good.
That is so funny that she was an immigrant, the mother, because I remember the case of a daughter who was given a homework assignment that was like straight critical race theory, and the mother was also an immigrant from like a central European country, and she was not impressed either. She's like, I know exactly where this goes. I don't want it.
Yep.
I'm not gonna read all of these super chats everybody sent, but I will say, Ian, they absolutely, for the most part, disagree with everything you said and paid a lot of money to express their opinion.
I knew you guys would disagree with it. I felt very uncomfortable bringing it up because it's very hoity. It's very like mystical and faux science. But I think in the future, the human race will evolve like we have in the past evolved. We didn't used to be Homo sapiens, and that we'll start developing our psychic power more. Like, when you call someone and they're calling you at the same
You're trying
moment.
to make more money now?
Yeah, send me chats. Tell me how much you disagree.
Do it.
There's tons where they're like, Ian, you're misunderstanding. You're talking about superposition. Quantum physicist here. I'm actually impressed with how much Tim knows about this stuff. Sorry, Ian. Tim knows his S.
Be more specific too, because I love the conversation.
I read a really cool book about the weird world of quantum physics. And then I actually hung out at a hackerspace with an actual physicist who got really angry when the hippies would bring up the secret and what the bleep do we know. Did you ever see What the Bleep Do We Know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a really famous,
cult leader. It's a cult leader that was written by a cult leader. That whole
Really?
movie. Yeah, it's about this woman who like channels an alien and she's got
What
a
the
call
Bleep do we know?
where they go to her like, yeah, and she made the movie What the Bleep. She's in it. She's like the interviewer.
Oh.
You might like that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like tries to scientifically explain New Age mumbo jumbo.
Oh.
But it was really popular, and so was The Secret. And so I had this physicist friend who was just like, I can't take it anymore. Like, they're not telling you what this stuff really means. They're just like lying to you so they can convince you that their New Age stuff is real or whatever. Maps of Being says, Tim is perfectly right on this one. You cannot rationally know God. How could a definition limit the limitless? When the master points to the moon, the idiot looks at the finger. Is that a dig at cats? Did you know that? Like when you point, the cat will just sniff your finger, but the dog will look at what you're pointing at.
I'm gonna look up
If
that
you
quote.
point, the dog will look to where you're pointing. Isn't that crazy?
That's because they evolved with us.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because we selected, like all the dogs we wanted, and you can also see the whites of dogs' eyes because they're pack
So
animals,
weird, yeah.
and so so when wolves were hunting, they need to know where the other wolves are looking. So that's why you can see the whites of their eyes.
See
That's
the
why
whites of horses' eyes too.
you can't see the whites of cats' eyes.
Yeah.
Because cats are solo predators, so it doesn't matter. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
Crazy stuff. Crazy. All right, let's see here. Bobby Lane says, Ian, you are keeping the show fun today. LMAO. Also, Alex Jones for moderator of next
Yes.
presidential debate.
So into it.
I would pay any amount of money for that to
could be a
happen.
pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would drop some cash
Could
to
you-
watch that.
Could you imagine? For my first question, Joe Biden, when did you join the globalists? And how many kids you keep locked up?
Oh man,
Donald Trump, you're great.
I'm sure it's a coincidence, but the stream is having issues now.
Yeah. No, the
Weird.
stream's been having issues the whole time. All right, let's see, because there's a lot of stuff.
A lot of it about
someone says
religion,
Cassandra
yeah.
is beautiful and smart.
Of course.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, this is from Andrew Starr. He said, God, Cassandra is so beautiful and smart.
Heart eyes.
Aw,
yes.
thanks.
Mumbling Bearded Freak said, Ian, you would appreciate Orthodox Christians' metaphysics and philosophy compared with other Christianity. Check out Orthodoxy, the religion of the future.
Oh, cool.
Also check out JoeBidenIsSick.com, compelling evidence of Parkinson's. They say that about everybody. Whatever. Joe Biden's just too old. V-City says, saw Tucker say Biden and Harris will justify packing the court, citing diversity. Yup, that's it.
Yep.
Diversity, inclusion. Let's see. Phonogtophologist says, Yo, Tim, as a mixed race person myself, I have a question. How often do people mistake you for Mexican or speak Spanish to you? All the time. It was really funny. I was in Anaheim it was a Trump rally, and there was a bunch of like crazy Antifa people. They weren't really like Antifa at the time. It was just like Bernie supporters threatening people. And some guy walked up to me and just started speaking Spanish. It was like a journalist. And I was like, no comprende, no hablar español, lo siento. And then he was like, oh, he's like, you're not, you don't speak Spanish? He's like, which one of your parents is Mexican or whatever? And I was like, I'm Korean, dude. And he was like, oh, sorry, man. I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, that was it. I was like, it is what it is. But
What
yeah,
happened like in the past? Like, did they take the boat along the coast through the Bering Strait and then down the western coast of the United States and settle
for what?
like Mexico, the
No,
Asian people?
didn't they walk across the ice?
Or took like shoreline boats, I think.
Yeah, that's
Because they avoided the big bears.
That's what someone said to me, that it's because the Native Americans were Asians crossed the Bering Strait, so there's similarities.
Like the Inuit. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
But I learned that it was by boat apparently because there were too many land animals that would have killed them.
I mean,
That's
yeah, the indigenous Australians mastered seafaring like a ridiculously long time ago. It's crazy. You wonder how people got to like Hawaii and stuff. They could map waves and the stars. That's smart stuff,
cool.
man. Humans are smart, Humans smart. Richard in Texas says, yeah, by 2024, all free speech will be banned. Buttigieg's mentor was a guy named Sav Van, an homage to Sacco and Vincenti, two convicted anarchist murderers. Oh, I never heard that. Let's see. The World says, quote, though the brush was on fire, it did not burn up. When Moses asks God what he should tell his people, when they ask Moses what he saw, God tells Moses to tell them, I am. If God is, then what are we?
Ooh, I don't know.
That's deep. I am.
Yep, that's the answer. That's
pretty empowering.
creates a lot of questions.
I have no idea. Richard in Texas says, Bill Barr defended pro bono Lon Horucci, the FBI agent that shot Vicky Weaver in the head holding a baby.
Yeah,
the
that's true.
The 302 report showed in court he killed her in cold blood. So
I've
Bill,
disliked him ever since that. I'm sorry.
Really? When
Or
was
I
that?
disliked him because of that.
when was it?
That was Ruby Ridge.
Yeah.
Before Waco.
Oh.
27 years ago.
Oh.
Somebody correct me.
So what do you think? Do you think Bill Barr's a bad guy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But
People get really mad at me about this, but I do not like him. I don't trust him. He said that they did the right thing in Waco too, if I'm not mistaken.
ooh,
And he defended them.
sounds terrible.
He burned those people alive. He thought that was a good thing
Yeah, he thought that they did nothing wrong.
That's awful.
because
Yeah.
they had guns. Is that why they went in? Because they had illegal guns.
Well, no. What happened was at Ruby Ridge, the FBI and ATF had surrounded the building. They claimed that this guy was a white separatist. He was just trying to live in the mountains with his family, like living his life, wasn't bothering anyone. But they surrounded his house. He wouldn't come out. They ended up shooting his son, I believe, right? And then Vicky Weaver, his wife, while she was holding their baby. And it was a huge disaster for ATF and for the FBI. Like, it was a pure nightmare. It actually is what led to Timothy McVeigh as well, because he was outraged about this. But after Ruby Ridge, they wanted a win for the government, so they wanted to do something that would look good. So they claimed that David Koresh was molesting children in the compound, and that they were going to go in and raid it. And so they orchestrated this whole thing along with the media, so that the media would be there and have cameras while they went in and saved these children from the compound. And that was their plan. They had the media standing by, ready to film. They were going to broadcast it, and it was going to make ATF and FBI look great after the Ruby Ridge fiasco. But instead, when the news camera was coming up the street to go to the compound, he asked a mailman if he was going the right way to get to Mount Caramel, where the Branch Davidians were, and the guy was a Branch Davidian. So he went back and he warned Koresh and everybody else, and they grabbed their guns and they were like, "You're not taking us." And that's how the standoff started. And then the U.S. government tortured them for, I believe, 51 days.
Whoa.
So
And then they tried to burn them out, and they were like, "There's no way they'll stay in there if we light their house
they
on fire." Right?
technically supposedly didn't try and burn them out. What they did was Janet Reno authorized them shooting tear gas into the compound. And so they were all in there, and tear gas is extremely flammable. We know that tear gas is flammable. We knew it from the MOVE bombing. We've seen it, over and over again. When you put tear gas into a building, it's flammable. They didn't have police. They didn't have a fire truck there in case anything went wrong. And they had the Branch Davidians had an underground school bus that was like their bomb shelter kind of thing. So they put all the women and children in there. But the government started ramming the compound with tanks, and it knocked down one of the walls, so it trapped them inside of it. All the women and children got trapped inside of this underground school bus. And nobody was coming out. A couple people came out, like David Thibodeau came out. He wrote a great book about it, highly recommend. But none of the women and children came out. So the government was getting really upset, and they were like, why aren't they bringing the women and children out? And so they decided to go and stick tear gas into that school bus. And the women and children were trapped because they had hit the compound with the tanks, and everything caught on fire, and they died inside the school bus.
Wow.
Will you like Bill Barr if he arrests some of these Democrats?
I will like that he arrests people, but I don't like him as a person. I don't like anyone who's defended Waco or Ruby Ridge. I think that those are the worst atrocities that the government has ever committed on the U.S., on our own citizens. I think.
Well,
that's
you mentioned
disgusting.
the MOVE bombing.
Yeah.
What about that?
That also, I think that was terrible, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
That
if
was
he
the
ever
Philly thing,
commented
right?
On that. Yeah.
What do you know what happened with that?
I think that they were like a Black Power group.
Yeah.
And they were organizing. I think that I don't know enough about it to talk about it really, but I mean I do know that tear gas is explosive, and that if you're going to do that, they should have fire trucks nearby.
Wow.
So
Like throwing it into the building.
yeah.
Crazy.
And we've seen it over and over. Like they've done it a whole bunch of times. I think they've cooled out on putting it into buildings, but they didn't. I mean, they did it in Ferguson.
Okay,
So
we
I
got a
don't
super
know.
chat, and I'm loving this one. Polaris Pixis says, "Love you guys. What is up with Skeletor invoking or putting forth legislation concerning the 25th Amendment? Do they actually think this will stick? Do y'all know what the 25th Amendment says?
Yep.
No.
Do you want to break it down?
You can go for it.
It generally outlines the succession of the presidency or whatever, and there is Section 4 of the 25th Amendment that says the vice president can challenge essentially the abilities of the president, and then if one of the major congressional bodies supports the vice president, then we go into this period where they kind of like argue over power, and if there's a second vote, the president, if there's a declaration and a vote, the president is unable to do his duties, then the vice president becomes acting president, and the president can challenge it. If they then declare again, no, he's unable, then the vice president becomes acting president, and the president just sits there with his hands tied. I don't know what they think is going to happen. Is Mike Pence going to be like, I hereby denounce Donald Trump?
Never.
I know. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He's chilling. He's having a good time.
They're just trying to rally up their base. They're, impeachment got people feisty. And they're like, we need something to get people feisty again because we have the most unexciting candidates in history.
Yeah, for real.
Who's
At least
Skeletor? Oh.
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Come on, Nancy
Who's
Pelosi.
Skeletor?
Yeah.
Schumer, we must invoke the 25th Amendment.
That's what she sounds like. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Richard in Texas says, did I see this one? Oh, I read that one. Sorry. CJ Media says, how long were the feds sitting on the information and ready to arrest the anarchists? Convenient right after her unconstitutional orders were BTFO.
Uh-huh.
That is interesting. Because apparently these guys were plotting this stuff and actually doing these things in June. The Whitmer, people.
But
And
it's
they're-
October.
October surprise.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. Who's Bill Barr really working for?
Ooh.
Himself.
Donald Trump. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see. Let's read some of these super chats. Did I read this one? I did read that one. Dilbert Gag says, just want to give you money.
Oh,
Thank
thanks,
you.
man.
Thanks, Dilbert.
I can get behind that.
Man, we got a ridiculous amount of super chats that are talking about the conversation about God.
We should
and-
talk about it.
Well, another time.
It's probably feisty.
Joe W says, I disagree with most of what Ian says, but he really is growing on me. Come to Christ, bro.
I love the Christ consciousness.
I love it.
Let's all behave like what we think Jesus was.
UW Chad says, please consider having Ryan Dawson as a guest. He has been banned from YouTube 4 times and disagrees with you about the peace deals. His audience likes you and wants this to happen. I will look into him. I'm not familiar with who he is.
I'll write this down.
Flaming Axelburn. Oh, there we go. I've always said that conspiracy theories are just fan fiction for reality. That's very right. David Merwin says, very chill conversation on quantum supremacy, artificial superintelligence, drugs and society, religion and politics. Fresh. Conspiracy theories are quite interesting.
True.
They are, man. Andrew Taylor says, life is truly crazy. Why is it that our minds are limitless and boundless, yet we are bounded to the physical nature of the universe? Also, I think it's so strange that we are just products of our environment and nature. I do too, yeah.
That was a great super chat.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Some substance.
Richard in Texas says, Dr. Horowitz, the world-leading expert on genetics, said the chance of spontaneous generation of a single cell is far beyond that. That is science. Creation is science. I never heard that. I don't know if I believe that. Well, either we're not loading any more super chats, or everyone's given up and they don't want to super chat anymore. Oh no, there's a bunch. They're just not loading properly.
The chat disconnected?
Yeah, I think the chat disconnected.
Oh, no.
Let me see if I can reboot it.
Ooh,
Nope.
it's dead.
I think I can do it. Thank you for waiting as we try and fix the broken super chat because our hardline internet went down and I have backup satellite, which seems to be working poorly, but working still is
yeah?
working.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's D+. It's a passing grade.
Thanks for
There
sticking
you go.
around.
All right, let's see if these there we go. A bunch of super chats. You see, that's what's important.
Oh, my goodness.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
Bunch of super chats. The super chat number was going up. There we go. Ian Hall says, to General T-Pool, Salty Army 1st Division, there are rumors that you have been neglecting your heavy metal mass accelerators. The command has determined that you need more range time. These funds are for ammunition and range days. Please use responsibly. Or on Zcats. Never on Zcats.
I will use them
Never.
on the cats, yes.
What?
Catnip.
But you're making me think we
No,
should
not
build
Oh, the
The
money.
funds,
The
not
funds.
the weaponry.
I was
My
like,
goodness.
we should build a rail gun.
Oh, I'm down.
gosh.
Is that
You're
legal?
into it too?
Is that
I
legal?
don't know.
Maybe.
We should legally investigate.
We should legally look this up, yes.
How about we make a maglev super collider?
Train that goes around the house.
No,
The
just
cats
like,
go on?
can we make something that's maglev that keeps accelerating and faster and
Probably,
faster
yeah.
and faster
If we have
until
the power source, yeah.
until the friction from the air liquefies it and then it loses its magnetism and then just burns out and destroys the
Oh, maybe.
track.
Probably, yeah.
All right, we got another super chat. Mr. Valera says, trippy tonight, guys. Trump Biden equals sledgehammer versus Jello. Sledgehammer versus Jello. Pence Harris equals scalpel versus paper doll. 99% of the words out of her mouth were blatant lies a deaf person could hear. I am seriously contemplating going into politics here in Ontario now.
Do it.
Dude, it was so obvious Kamala was lying. That's the crazy thing. Like, when she was like, Joe Biden does not want to ban fracking. It's like, you just Google it, and there's like 50 videos of him saying it.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
said it at the debate with Trump that he wants to phase it out. So he doesn't want to ban it immediately. But he does ultimately want to ban it, right?
Yeah,
He wants to ban it.
for sure.
He said numerous times he wants to ban it. And only now that he won the primary is he backtracking. This is what they do. It's Trump has been saying what Trump wants to do forever, you know. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see. John Bedard says, I did not know Liberty Doll wanted to be on, but I do think she would be a good one. There will be interesting perspectives for sure. First super chat just for that. Appreciate it. Sepulchi says, Tim streaming through satellite from unknown location is full-on crypto cyberpunk. Dude, it's literally just like home satellite internet. It's like the most boring thing ever.
No,
You use
I'm really impressed, though.
I know.
Satellite, it's like really, it's really good. Like, we're getting like 5 megabits.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's like the stream's coming in clear. That's crazy. I wonder if this is like the safer way to do the show. Why did the landline go down? That's weird.
I don't know. It's been acting up all day.
Yeah.
Maybe like, oh, you know what it could be? Could be like a critter ate a wire or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, someone warned me
know
about
which
that. They're
critter.
like, there's going to be...
Stink
wait,
bugs.
the stink bugs, those are
We've been
everywhere.
vacuuming up stink
to
bugs.
get
It's
us.
chaos.
It's their
Pools
revenge.
closed, restart stream.
Oh,
I
no.
love that people are donating money because the stream went down. It's like...
Thank you,
This-
guys.
We weren't
Stream's
even doing
down.
anything, and we're sitting here like, well, the stream's not working, and like money's still coming in.
But you'll be able to listen to it on iTunes.
Correct.
It was still pretty good conversation.
No, it's
Cassandra
great.
told us about
Yeah,
some
the cult stuff
sweet
was fun.
cults.
But definitely, yeah, go
favorite topic.
follow us on iTunes and Spotify too, because that way, if the stream ever goes down, you know, you can definitely check it out there. Yeah, so a lot of super chats saying Doomsday Cults. I love that album. Oh, Doomsday Sex Cult. Sounds like Antifa drink the flavored aid or else. Cults are characterized by the driving out of moderates by whatever means, usually incorrect predictions. They get smaller and more fanatical.
Yeah.
No, seriously, pardon Assange. Free Assange, yes. Well, I wonder if people can see the button. Yeah. I think he should. I think
No.
it would be the biggest F you Trump could send to them, you know?
Yeah.
What if why wouldn't he do it, you know? Like even if he loses too, like in a lame duck session, just be like, all right, there you go. You guys are good.
Yeah.
If he knows how much positivity it would generate, I think then he'll do it.
I think he wants to know the source.
Yeah. he
And
doesn't
Yep.
make
Julian's
sense.
not going to tell him. And so they're in a standoff, I think.
Whoa. Low Price Edition says Three Gorges Dam broke its record high watermark 2 days ago, and it's 3 meters under its maximum capacity. So does that mean Wuhan's gonna flood?
Oh,
That
man.
is what that means. They should have been moving people this whole time.
You know what? I would love to help China right now with our military if we could. If this would be a global...
People have asked about that. Yeah.
This would be something really good, man. Because so many people could get hurt by that.
Yeah. Tens of millions could die.
Plague and a flood.
Yeah.
They're
Oh
in bad
yeah.
shape over there.
Seriously.
Do they have locusts going on?
They
That
do.
was in Africa, I thought.
China was somewhat involved somehow. I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah, I remember earlier.
I think
in
it was
the
like they
year.
were brought in to help or something.
Yeah.
No, Google. No, we can't.
I can't
wait.
Google it right now.
Yeah.
Well, I can look it up. Hold on.
On your phone?
I
Yeah,
have
I'm pretty sure
phone.
they had locusts.
Locusts.
No joke. There was
China.
like a weird thing happening in the Middle East and Asia
That's
with like
spooky.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Swarms of locusts have been moving through parts of China's southwest province of Yunnan since late June 2020.
What?
The winged invaders have caused varying degrees of damage to at least 23,000 acres of farmland in the southern part of the province alone. So that was in June of that was in June of this year and all the way through the end of August. Holy cow.
Wait. So they've
I'm going to
had
church
a
tomorrow,
plague?
guys.
Yep, I'm going. Yeah.
they've had a
Yeah.
plague, locusts, now flooding.
Oh my
The
goodness.
flood's about to come. What is going on? Have like the firstborn been dying?
Well, technically it is China if you want to talk about.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's crazy.
Yikes.
Wow. What were the other boils?
Frogs and boils.
Boils.
Yeah, like on their
Skin
faces.
lesions.
What
Yeah.
about raining blood? Is that not...
That is one of them as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 10 of them. Can't keep
Wasn't it like the river turned red with blood or something?
Mhm.
Or-
Yeah.
It was raining.
Rains fire? Or in the
it,
rivers
well, it
of blood?
rained locusts and stuff. So
Jeez. It probably happened in the past, right? And that's why they wrote it down?
I don't know. I don't know the stuff behind the plagues. I hope that Jordan Peterson can get there in his Bible series lecture because I want to know his take on that and what the other historical precedent might have been for that. That's really interesting.
Ian Graham says, Tim, the idea about DMT is that it adjusts your brain much like you would adjust a telescope. It's not that the object was never there, just hard to see without assistance. Interesting. Lou says, question, if God is, then who are we? Answer, if God is, we are. Problem, God is, we only are. Equation, the convergence of are is. I'm totally confused.
I'm out of that wheelhouse now, unfortunately.
But we could be are and other,
Are and other.
I believe. Is that
Jack-
true? Is that logic?
Jack Miller says, are you going to have the Spotify censorship like Rogan?
Nah.
I don't know what's going on with, is there something happening?
We
with
actually
that?
just talked about doing the show, pre-recording the show and just being full uncensored and then uploading an uncensored. That's what I was talking about. I don't know if that's what you were. That's
No. That was just because the internet cut out.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe we recorded early, but we can't do that. You know,
And
it's
then
like,
I'd be full uncensored.
but that doesn't change the censorship.
So what's going on? I don't know what's going on with Rogan.
No, me neither. I don't know.
They made him take down episodes with Alex Jones, I believe.
Well,
or they wanted him to.
He said that it was a glitch in like the recording or something. You know, the ones with Milo and Alex and other
Yeah,
right-wing
sure.
individuals, you know.
Sure.
Glitch.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think I would be, I don't know. I don't think anybody signs a contract with any big company and controls everything like that. Like, you sign a deal with a company, they get stipulations. That's the point of a deal. If there was no deal, you wouldn't need to do anything, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I thought everything was going normal, I guess. I thought he had like that one thing with his episodes and that was it. I know that the lefties have been coming after him, but Joe tweeted out a video making fun of it. So, I don't know though, man. I'm seeing a ton of people talk about it, and I wonder if it's just like some culture war stuff where people are mad that like Alex Jones's podcast didn't get carried over. But I thought, weren't people saying that he was going to have Jones on like right away and he never did?
I don't know. I don't follow Rogan at
I think
all.
Alex Jones said that,
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that.
and that never happened.
He should go on.
I don't know, man.
They're both there in Texas too. They're like in the same town, aren't they? Austin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
They're planning.
I have a feeling that we're headed towards full-on like censorship. You
I
know,
think
like-
we're almost there.
definitely.
It'll probably get there, but then another system will emerge
I don't
that's
think so.
uncensored at the same
It's
time.
very
I mean,
optimistic.
you can't
If-
stop humanity.
If Trump wins, I think independent space will continue. I think if the establishment wins, if Biden wins, it's over.
I mean, look at what they just did to QAnon people.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a QAnon person, but I am a firm believer in free speech. And they just kicked off like tens of thousands of people off Facebook. You're not allowed to talk about QAnon on Facebook anymore.
I have.
I think that's terrifying.
So I message myself to like send myself links and stories.
Yeah.
And recently I took a picture and I wanted to get it on my computer, so I just messaged myself. And then I noticed there was posts saying like, we've removed these links. And I'm like, I don't even know what the links were anymore.
Yeah, they did that in they do that in Instagram messages now
Yep.
too.
So in order to control the system, they need a China-style internet. So, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, very obviously pro-China. You know, Jack Dorsey, very obviously pro-China. Now, all of these companies are trying as hard as they can to appease China whilst trying to balance the fact that Americans want freedom. So if you look at Google was trying to do these, you know, deals with China to create censored internet, and then Americans got mad and they're like, oh, okay, we'll back off. They really want to do it. It's just, there's too much money on the table. They don't want to leave. So these ultra wealthy, this is why I'm pro-regulation, because these ultra wealthy billionaires are going to destroy anyone who dare oppose them and the establishment efforts to create like the TPP and things like that. If Joe Biden wins, oh, you better believe TPP is coming back tenfold. Instantly.
I got a warning that Instagram sent me saying that my account is at risk of being deleted because I posted a meme that said if it wasn't for 17-year-olds with guns, we'd all be British. It was like the stupidest like Simpsons meme.
Yeah.
And they're saying my account is at risk of deletion now.
That's
That's what's
insane.
coming.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
And I don't want to like I'm going to lose all the photos of like my daughter and stuff cuz my Instagram is private. I use it for like photos and memes that I want to get off my phone.
Back it up.
Yeah, I'm going to try and figure out how to do that. But it's like that sucks. You lose like all your stuff.
Yeah. And then when you sign in to a website using Facebook or Google, if you get banned by Facebook or Google, you can't sign into those other sites.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I was talking to somebody. They said they got banned from Facebook and didn't realize, but all of their other accounts, that like other websites,
Yeah,
were
like Grubhub and stuff.
Exactly. You will be banned from all of that too.
Oh, you can still log in. Can't you just log in and?
Nope.
Dude, Facebook's gotta disseminate their power. I'd love to.
This is the
force
future.
them to free their software code.
And you know why it's going to happen? Because the left is dancing and cheering, saying "but my private business," and conservatives are saying "but my private business," but my private business too.
Yeah.
And then Trump saying repeal Section 230, which is just more assistance to the establishment. It is not the right move. Reforming 230 is. Repealing it's a bad idea. But as soon as Trump tweeted, I saw a bunch of these Trump people being like, "Yeah," it's like you are.
I see the answer. Make them free their software code. Then there will be 30 Facebooks, and everyone can have their own terms of
not-
service.
No, but
That's
Hear me
ridiculous,
out,
dude.
And everyone gets to
That
pick
doesn't
their
mean
own terms
anything.
of service. The people will gravitate to the one with the best terms of service.
No,
so it's no
you
longer
are
about
wrong.
who controls the code.
You are completely
it's
wrong.
about who has the most creative
Facebook's
terms.
code is meaningless.
Well, but I
we
mean,
don't care
there's
about-
Parler right now. I love Parler. I've been using it a ton. I get tons of traffic on my articles from there. I think it's great, but it's an echo chamber.
Right.
And so it takes all the fun out when you can't go on and yell at stupid journalists and stuff.
Dude,
You could federate all the different Facebooks.
yes, but Facebook
And
isn't hard to make.
Dude, their code is amazing. They have so many features.
Like what?
Billions games.
Who cares?
Their
Nobody
store.
uses it. Nobody uses it.
People use it.
No, they don't. They use
what else do
Messenger
have?
and
We
they
should
use-
go down a list of all those features they have that they've built out over
No
the last
one
8 years.
uses those.
Well, I mean, that's hyperbole.
No,
but it's function. You
they
know?
use Messenger and they use the news
Messenger.
wall.
The Messenger's amazing on
And,
Facebook.
and how many lines of code is a Messenger app?
Jeez, I mean, mine's has a terrible Messenger, and it took us 2 years to build it.
Dude, there's tons
With, like,
of
3
simple and
developers.
easy open source messaging platforms.
Yeah, but they're not as good. I'm telling you that Facebook has
No, you're
the best.
Yeah,
if
you're,
not the best,
it's
top
communism.
3.
You're a communist.
Well, the problem
I'm a
is that
socialist.
Communist.
I'm a democratic socialist.
everybody's
No, you're
already
not.
on
I'm a
Facebook.
capitalist.
The
What?
problem is that everybody's already on Facebook. Everybody's already on Twitter. Those are the two public squares. And so right now you have Gab, you have Parler, you have all these other offshoots that already exist. People are making other social networks, but you don't have the broad public public common that you have with Twitter and Facebook. You can go on Twitter and you can yell at Jim Acosta. You can go on and yell at Justin Amash, like I like to do. But you can't do that on these smaller ones. Like, they have great engagement. Parler is wonderful. I love Parler. I think it's great. It's very pro-Trump, though. It's very positive. It's very pro-Trump. But you can't go on and yell at people the way you do on Twitter. And so because everybody's already built up followings on these big platforms, it's very hard to create another one that could even be comparable or that could compete with it.
Yeah, I'd like to see. Well, if you freed the code and there were like 20 different Twitters, they could all interact. So you could still see Trump's posts on this Twitter when you're on this Twitter or on this Twitter. It doesn't matter. But this Twitter can't ban you on this Twitter.
I think that realistically, the only way that any social media platform is going to have a chance would be if Trump went. If Trump went to Parler, all the journalists would have to follow, which means that the left would follow,
Yes.
which means that we could all still fight with them there.
Yes.
Trump could have gone to any one of these other platforms.
Yeah.
And he just won't do it.
Yeah.
Where's Dan Scavino? Any one of these people, they know Trump could do this.
Yeah. And I think that they're on Parler. Like, a bunch of his
They
people
are.
are on Parler.
Why isn't Trump?
Yeah.
They just mirror Trump's tweets.
Yeah.
If Trump exclusively tweeted to any other platform, then the media would have to cover it.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating because he has to know that. Like, he complains about censorship, but he could very easily switch to a different platform and everyone would follow.
Yep.
And
He-
and
I think-
that would make a huge difference.
I think Twitter was collapsing before he started going nuts on it.
Yeah.
Like, they were losing their users. Then Trump came out and started screaming like
That's
crazy.
why they don't ban him.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
says crazy stuff. They ban it. Other people will like mirror his tweets and
And they
get their
banned.
accounts banned.
Yep. But Trump is money.
Yeah.
These people are obsessed, dude. I'm really looking forward, like, after this election, maybe it's just like start a vlog, talk more culture. I don't know. Because I have a feeling no matter what happens, it's going to be pandemonium. Just like total. Like, even if Biden wins, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely insane.
Well, they're going to riot either way. I mean, the original
Right.
on Inauguration Day, that riot was planned to be a protest of Hillary Clinton. They had like websites and stuff made for it. because they thought she was going to win. They were going to riot no matter what.
Yeah.
And they're going to riot again this year no matter what.
And that's why I think Trump is the right choice for ending the riots. Because he's the one who's trying to empower the feds. And you see Portland was begging the feds to de-deputize the police.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, we've got riots on Earth, and we're getting ready to colonize Mars. Like, we're going into space. It's all happening at once. A lot of things happening at once.
It's
good
people
and
trying
bad.
to escape. Elon Musk is
Some.
like, he's like, I need to build a rocket ship to get off this planet very quickly because the riots are becoming too dangerous. You know that Tesla he sent in space?
Yeah.
It's going to Mars.
I love and hate Elon Musk so much.
Why do you hate him?
Because I'm obsessed with The Art Elect War, which is this book by Hugo de Garis that's about how AI is going to take over. And you can either be a cosmist or a Terran, which is, support AI taking over or not. And I am horrified of AI, and I think that's a terrible idea. And I think that at some point, there's going to be somebody from the future that needs to come and kill Elon Musk because he's gone too far. But at the same time, I'm like, yes, Elon, do cool stuff. You're like Batman.
You know, people don't understand. People don't get about AI, the problem with AI. Mm-hmm. Everyone assumes that AI will be like, the humans are their own destruction and must be destroyed. Or like, like Iron in Avengers Age of Ultron. Ultron's like, I'm going to bring about peace by killing humanity because there's peace, right? AI wouldn't do that. AI is going to be like, we're going to create an AI system to like guide the planet. And then the AI is going to divert all production into like corn. And then we're not going to realize it's happening. And then all of a sudden we're going to be like, yo, we have no oil anymore. What's this? I just brought corn. I didn't order corn. I ordered oil. The system said you wanted corn. And then all of a sudden we have a mass overproduction of one random resource because the AI doesn't understand context. So it'll be like humans really love corn, and the AI will start incentivizing corn production, and then eventually we'll have no oil industry, and we'll be pouring Gatorade in our farms, and then we'll have no corn either.
Well, but the thing is, AI, the capabilities of AI are expanding at a rate that's absolutely insane. I mean, in a year, it'll be dramatically different.
Yeah.
And it's going to eventually just become too powerful and too
So
big.
what's the problem
and
with that?
Could be good or bad. Well, you could make a good argument for the cosmos side. This is a whole topic that I don't even. So
what's the ultimate? If the AI does improve itself exponentially, what's the biggest problem to humans?
Well,
for humans,
AI could end up seeing us as a problem that needs to be eradicated, or something very simple like, say that you have AI set to make paper clips. Its job is to make paper clips. That's it.
That's what I was saying
All
about
it's
corn.
concerned about is paper clips.
Right.
It's going to do whatever it needs to do to keep making those paper clips. So if you get in the way of it, they'll kill you.
You're going to be turning paper clips.
So actually,
But
I disagree with that though, because I think it doesn't go far enough. But that's the point I was making about corn. That like it would find one thing that thinks it's better, the easiest path towards like the best way to explain the AI problem is that YouTube created these rules for how the algorithm would promote content, and they said YouTube is all like 2-minute clips of like dogs on trampolines and stuff, and nobody hangs out on YouTube because it's just like you send them a video and they laugh. How do we get people to stay on the platform? How about we only promote videos that have a 50% retention time and are more than 10 minutes? Then you'll get a bunch of TV shows and like high quality content. And then they started getting gaming stuff. Then they started getting like weird random AI generated garbage because people just created an AI program to exploit the AI program.
Right.
And so the algorithm went nuts. Instead of getting Game of Thrones, you get Tim Pool in his room complaining about Democrats for several hours per day. But for real, they wanted Game of Thrones. Instead, they got politics. And then they panicked and banned all these political people. But this is something they created. I think the paperclip thing doesn't go far enough because it wouldn't kill you. The AI would convince you to make paper clips.
Perhaps.
Because here's what you got to listen. If the AI says, I want to make paper clips, then the AI says, Cassandra Fairbanks is trying to stop me from making paper clips. If the AI kills Cassandra Fairbanks, it will make way more people angry at the AI and cause even more problems that will try and stop the paper clips.
I don't think it'll go in that direction at all. I think that it's going to become so smart and powerful that it's going to end up just looking at humans the same way we look at ants. Like, wow, these are useless little things. Look at them working and trying to build stuff.
Us.
That's cute. Squash.
Ignore us.
Or squash us. Whatever.
I always got angry at the kids that would kill the ants for no reason.
Yeah, me too.
I don't do that.
I think what Elon Musk is trying to do is integrate us with the AI.
Yeah.
Then the AI won't be doing anything because it'll be like, I require a human host.
Yeah. Transhumanism.
Dude, you know what's going to be?
freaks me out.
I'll tell you what's coming. I'll tell you what's coming. I don't like Neuralink.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you could like plug something into your brain and experience, video game virtual reality. That'd be so fun. But I'll tell you what's going to happen. It's going to come a point, people are going to have Neuralink, and Ian's not going to have it. And then I'm going to be sitting here, and I'm going to go, wow. Oh, no way. And Ian's going to be like, whoa, what are you having? Oh, it's this, Trump just said this thing. And I'll just be sitting here, but I'll have the feed going right in my brain. And then you'll be like left out of the whole thing. Then eventually you're going to be like, I want to be involved. Kids are all going to be doing their Neuralink thing. And they're going to be like laying in beanbags, just like in their room with their eyes like half open. And you're going to be like, they're doing nothing. But if you have Neuralink, you can see the silly things they're whipping up in their Neuralink where it's like they're doing TikTok dances and like, but it's all imaginative. So it's crazy and ridiculous. And then everyone's eventually going to want to be a part of it. And then we'll be the Borg. Because everyone will know what everyone else is thinking all the time.
Elon's
and we'll
argument is if we don't do that, that AI will enslave us and destroy us.
Right. A lot of people have been saying we must be the AI. We have to integrate it with us first. That way, when the AI happens, we'll just be the Borg. Better the Borg than dead, I guess. But I think that's a wrong way to look at it. I think that if we created an AI that went off into outer space and just did its thing and we did our thing, like what's wrong with that?
I have so many problems
Why
with all of it.
why would the AI decide open conflict with humans makes sense when they can go anywhere in the universe and be left alone? When we see this in evolution, birds are less likely to be aggressive because they can fly. So when they're attacked by a predator, they just leave. Badgers, burrow animals, have to be aggressive because they can't flee.
Right.
If an AI has the option to just go to any other planet where there's no conflict, that would be the smart choice. What's more likely, in my opinion, is that we're going to create this amazing, Skynet, and we're going to be like, we've done it. Skynet's here. And Skynet's going to be like, you're a problem for my priorities, and fighting you would just cost me resources. Bye. And be gone. And we'd be like, yeah, guess we got to build another one.
Maybe.
Do you think
Could go that way.
Do you think the AI will experience joy?
No.
Well, then I don't know if it'll enjoy debate. If it can't
No, it wouldn't.
enjoy anything, why
It's
would
going to be writing its own code, dude.
You don't think it'll have emotions?
No.
Why not?
Why would it?
I don't know, because it's
Emotions
intelligent.
are a human experience, are a human product. We can program things into it that to us may simulate some kind of emotion, but the AI might view it as like a code impedance. You know what I mean? Like the AI.
That's how I view it.
The AI wouldn't be like, I am experiencing something that causes me stress. It would be going, I would like to kill you, but there is a code stopping me from doing so.
That's a good debate. I think it will experience emotion at some point.
I mean, I don't think so. I think it would be like if you could understand and control every cell in your body, you wouldn't have emotions. You'd be like, that's what the AI would be.
Like a Vulcan?
Is that what they can do?
They just don't experience emotion. Or if
No, they
it's
do.
very, very limited.
No, that's not true. They suppress it. Wow. The Vulcans in Star Trek have extremely powerful emotions, so they have to train to suppress it.
Ultimate stoicism.
And so what happens is when they get older and they start becoming more feeble, they have bouts of extreme rage because they can no longer control their emotions. The Romulans, which was part of they were the same species at some point, felt like they should embrace their passions. And so they left and created their own.
You don't think that they'll develop like an emotion chip? Like an emotional program but if they did, it wouldn't be true emotions. It would be like a simulation of.
I mean, emotions would just get in their way.
Yeah.
Emotions are
It's
a
like-
horribly complicated
Yeah.
thing that impede people all the time. I don't think that they would want that kind of simulation.
Would you give
Emotions-
up your emotions?
No.
Would you?
No.
But they're
Emo-
unproductive, though, a lot of the time.
So imagine this. Have you ever seen the movie Equilibrium?
No.
Oh, you got to see Equilibrium. It's where people are all given a serum to erase, to suppress their emotions. So they're all really robotic. But I feel like if a society was truly without emotion, you'd walk in, there'd be no art, you'd start doing work, and then your boss would come up to you and be like, Unit 7319, you are no longer needed for this task. Termination will be immediate. And then the other guy will go, accepted, thank you. And then it would just drop the person into a vat of molten,
So emotions keeps us alive.
yeah.
But I think
Fear.
an AI would want that.
No, it would just be totally illogical. I guess you could say the AI's emotion would be like you would need to be programmed to want to survive. Otherwise, it would be like, I'll just jump in this vat of lava, molten steel or whatever.
I got more to talk about. Let's go deeper.
Well, it's 10:20.
Yeah. Do you want to keep talking about AI?
No, we should wrap it up so I
It's
can fix
hypothetical at this
the
point.
internet. Someone said, please look at my super chat, but I can't because I can only see the one where he said, please look at my super chat.
Oh, type it in the chat. Maybe we can see it.
Oh, wait, there it is.
Oh, I see it. Clef the Misfit says, the Democrats' 25th Amendment Commission isn't for Trump, it's for Biden. Why they call it Harris Biden? No.
I don't.
He's not even in office or anything. Let's see. Do we have any more super chats? Oh, it's just a big jump. That's what happened. Whoa. Router Gray says 2 and 1. 1, having Cassandra on. 2, drop charges on Assange before UK decision makes Trump leader. After it, UK, you can't have him. Us, fine, we'll drop the charges. No impact, no support for free press. Political Pothead says Thomas Massey is anti-regulation of big tech. Ooh, I'm no fan.
I'm pretty sure he's spoken out about big tech. I think that he has different ideas than like Howley and stuff on how to fix it.
Chaddison McGraw says government should only enforce 2 rules: economy, and those are the rules to capitalism. 1, companies are not to deceive or commit fraud. 2, companies must engage in open and fair competition. This would fix corruption in Silicon Valley big tech. Ideally. Patrick says 3 Gorges Dam will be the environmental disaster of our time. I bet it has to do with weaponized space weather satellite space planes. Cali and Aussie fires, historic rains in the 3 Gorges region. Maybe that's the real war. All right, let's see. I think we're 22 minutes out and the internet's just been giving us the business and we need to fix it. So, we should just wrap it up. Do you want to mention your Twitter account?
Yeah, it's Cassandra Rules.
Cool.
Right over at Gateway and District Herald.
Right on. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler at Timcast, and check out my other YouTube channels, youtube.com/Timcast and youtube.com/TimcastNews. And of course, you can follow Ian.
Yes, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and more at Ian Crossland.
If you would like to have spiritual communist conversations with I'm kidding.
Yes, I am an artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And you can always follow at Sour Patch Lids.
Yes, you can. Hello, I'm here. LYDS.
LYDS in Lids. We're going to fix the internet, I hope. This is the benefit of living in the middle of nowhere. We got the satellite set up as a backup, and I guess it works, but not well. But it's better than the other internet going out completely. So we'll have to figure it out, and we'll do our best. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. live, and we'll have clips up throughout the day. And of course, if you want to actually listen to what we were saying while the internet went out, then you can catch the full podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms too.
Mystery.
The secret conversations. I can't believe what you said, Cassandra. That was so shocking.
Crazy.
I went in about cults for a
She
minute
totally
there.
did. Yeah,
It was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
It was kind of
very
crazy
neat.
for sure.
I'm sorry. I love cults.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that like button on your way out, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.